Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Running the Bases. I'm your host, Michael Garaffa, joined today by Ryan Blank, Nick Nath, and Marco Peralta. And we are joined by a very special guest today, Blake Harris. Blake Harris covers the Dodgers for True Blue LA. He is a California communities editor for SB Nation and a Cronkite, Arizona State alum. Blake, welcome on to the show.
Thanks for having me, boys. Looking forward to talking baseball and a whole bunch of other stuff this morning.
Yeah, this is going to be a great time. We love having guests on the show because as young journalists, we're always looking to learn as much as we possibly can. And from a Cronkite alum, we're always happy to hear from people who went down the same path as us. So obviously, we are really grateful for your time and to have you here today. So I know that everyone else has a lot of questions. So I'll open up the floor. Ryan, you said you had a lot of questions. I'll let you go first. I'll ask my question last. Ryan, go ahead.
The first thing I have to ask is, what did you think of the Betts catch last night?
Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, I won't lie. The second that ball was hit, it looked like it was going to be a gapper. So I was like, okay, this is at least going to tie it up. And that nanosecond when I saw that he was getting ready to dive, I was thinking this is about to be an inside the park home run if he doesn't catch it. And luckily he caught it. Apparently, it had a catch probability of 10%. So Mookie just goes to show why overall I think he's the best all around player in baseball. But I would have given anything to be in the stadium last night just to see the reaction from the Padres fans because they cut to one guy in the Dodgers broadcast who was like an absolute shock. But no, I mean, that was fantastic. I mean, those two Dodgers-Padres games have been phenomenal, but a catch like that in a game like that, it truly was remarkable. But I went nuts. My girlfriend was on the phone with her friend, and she heard me scream and came out and she's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" I'm like, "Mookie Betts just won the game." She's like, "Oh, I thought something major happened." I was like, "What do you mean?"
That is major.
She's a Dodgers fan too, and I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Oh, but based on that reaction," I was like, "What do you mean?" But no, I was thrilled and I was pumped last night.
See, the girlfriends never understand the true passion that we have for baseball.
No, see, the ironic thing is because she hates Manny Machado. She just can't stand him. And she the last two games against, I mean, usually she's like fairly calm when we watch Dodgers games. The last two nights, she's been getting into the games more than I have. It's like the first inning and like Clayton Kershaw's, like walking a guy and she's like, "What are you doing? Come on, Clayton, like wake up." And I'm like, it's the first or second inning. Like, let's calm down. And then of course we like win in the most epic fashion. She's like, "Oh, like what? Like, no, it's no big deal." I'm like, what's happening right now? Maybe it's because she was on the phone with her roommate and she was trying to keep it cool. But it was a crazy night last night, to say the least.
Yeah, that game was weird. The fact that Yu Darvish watched Kershaw for the first run, and basically the game-winning run, and then Mookie lays out. Every time the Dodgers find a way to win.
Yeah, I got no problem with that. They can do it as many times as they want this year.
Every dang time. Now, Marco, a resident Dodger fan, I will let you get the next question here.
Oh, okay. This is a bit of a curveball, like playing Kershaw's breaking ball. So my question for you, Blake, is just how's it been for you being straight out of college from Cronkite and just be able to cover the Dodgers for a reputable company like SB Nation? How's it been for you?
I always say like I got super lucky just because luckily I graduated in December of 2019. So luckily I was able to graduate a semester pretty much before like all my other friends, just because I transferred from a community college, but I guess I somehow did something during my time that let me graduate early. So luckily I graduated early. And the fact that because I was already at True Blue LA, but it was just kind of like an independent type site where I was making like $400 a month, essentially nothing, covering the team. And ironically enough, the day I graduated, I learned that I was actually getting technically fired from True Blue LA because there was a new California law that went into effect. It had to do with like Uber and Lyft drivers, where essentially they were definitely not getting paid the amount they should have, which then it affected, pretty much writers that were covering, independent blogs. And pretty much for like the next month, I was not writing at True Blue LA. And then SB Nation decided, our California blogs like the Lakers, the Dodgers, the 49ers, the Raiders, our biggest, revenue sites with the company, we need those sites. So they decided let's make like 25, because there was about 25 California sites. and each site had about 10 different people that they were paying, $400 a month. So instead of having, 250 people, covering all the different teams, they decided to bring in 25 full-time, people. And the woman that's like in charge of all, the baseball operations for SB Nation, she emailed me and said, like, listen, we want your voice back on True Blue LA because, you had such a strong following, the team well. And a few interviews later, I think it was about February or so, they brought me on full time. And then, of course, the month later, the pandemic hit. So extremely lucky that, it was just kind of like right place, right time. I was, doing this thing for $400 a month. It literally was just paying for groceries essentially. And because of that, turned into a full-time job. Now I'm doing, Dodgers, Angels, Clippers, Raiders. I was doing like UCLA basketball when they were doing their Final Four run. So I'm all over the place, but I'm loving it. The fact that it's a remote job, so I got to come back, move home to Los Angeles. Didn't have to go anywhere. I have some buddies, like one's in Tucson. He's hating it there. I got a buddy that's like in Idaho. They're all over the place. Luckily, I got to be, like I said, back home in LA, doing something remote, doing something I love, covering a team I love. So, like I said, couldn't have been more lucky. Absolutely loving it. It's, the ideal job. People say like, oh, if this comes up, would you like to, go to another job? I'm like, why? I get to cover the Dodgers, get to, cover games at the stadium, cover the Clippers, who are my favorite basketball team. I get to do it remotely. I get to, live wherever I want. So, it's a really good job. SB Nation's great. Check out SBNation.com if you haven't yet, because they give a lot of freedom to your writers, which is great. It's not like if you're writing for the LA Times, I guess the Athletic, you have kind of more leeway, but I don't have to be as professional, which is kind of great. I can add my own flair, especially on Twitter, which is great. I don't have to worry about holding back if need be. So it's been a lot of fun getting to work for SB Nation for sure.
Well,
Michael, I have a quick follow-up question.
Of course. Yeah.
So, Blake, the thing I'm astonished by what you've been doing is that at one point I started following your Twitter, I know you have two, but the one like for your work one, I think. So I saw when it was like around like 3,000, and then what do you have right now? Like 13,000 around there?
I checked today. I'm at 15,000 right now.
Dang. So like, how did that happen with just like basically what you've been doing, or how's it been going for you? Like just being able to grow that following. How's it feel to have that?
Yeah, the funny thing is, like you said, so I have two Twitters. I have the one that was just always kind of like my main one, and then like with my YouTube channel where I just did everything on that Twitter. And then about like a year and a half ago, I was like, well, I don't want to be tweeting a bunch of Dodgers stuff on this like main one, so let me just make like a new Dodgers one. And just made it. Followed a bunch of people I knew like that were Dodgers fans, that like were Dodgers writers, that were with the site, and slowly just kind of started growing. And it was kind of just what I think it was. It's just that, a bunch of Dodgers beat writers, they're great, that cover the team. But for the most part, like I said, they're all just professional. They're just very kind of like monotone. They just tweet what's going on. But like, there are no real like people that actually cover the Dodgers that, tweet videos, that tweet clips, that like tweet their opinions, that really like interact as much. So I think that's kind of like what a lot of people kind of like these started following along with. And the fact that I was like at the stadium, 2 years ago covering the games, posting, backstage behind the scenes stuff, they like that as well. But I tell this to everyone. I think the reason that really it kind of took off, I think last year when the Dodgers were in the World Series, I had maybe like 6,000-7,000 followers, which is a solid good amount. But SB Nation, they verified all of the writers, and the second I got verified, for some reason, maybe, I've done the same as well, but I guess if people see any sort of tweet like regarding the Dodgers or anything, and they see a check mark next to it, they're like, oh, this person, yeah, I got to follow this person. They know everything, blah, blah, blah. And because of that, like, people, followers started going up, interactions started going up. Like a lot of people like every day are in the DM saying like, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? I'm like, listen, I'm not like some insider, I know probably as much as you. I just get like all the PR emails. But so I think it was, just getting that check mark. And now it's, like I said, I think I was at 6,000 or 7,000 when the World Series happened in October. And like I said, we're 15,000 today. So we essentially doubled since the World Series. So I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining at all. But I think it's because, again, just people see the check mark and they just immediately want to, follow, interact, like, essentially every tweet and whatnot. And I guess because when you're verified, you have like this section on your notifications where people that are verified, it lets you know like their notifications. And like, I guess if I like something and someone's verifications, they get notified, and it's a whole weird thing. So I don't understand the Twitter analytics and how that's going, but like I said, no complaints on my end from that.
The verified life, the way we all want to live at some point.
I'm the same guy I was in October. Don't worry. The first day, the first 24 hours, and my girlfriend will admit I was a different man. I was a more cocky, arrogant man. But no, I've come back down to earth since then.
Hey, it's okay. We all have that moment in the sun where we're like, you know what? I'm great. Like everyone, you've got to have that at some point. It's funny how important that check mark is for viewers. Like people, and I've done it too, where you're looking at tweets and you see a check mark, you're like, okay, well, this guy's a little more reliable than the person that doesn't have one. So we all strive to get there at some point. Now, Nick, you haven't been able to ask anything yet. I want to open the floor up to you. You can ask, go ahead and ask 2 if you want, because I feel bad that it's been so long without you even being able to talk.
No, it's all good. Like I was just wondering, obviously you're doing this whole thing with the Dodgers and you're become very successful because of that. Has baseball like always been the plan for you when you were in Cronkite, or did you kind of just was something that just kind of came up, or was it just kind of like you knew from the start that baseball was going to be your thing?
I mean, the funny thing is, when I went to Cronkite, I had no clue what I even wanted to do. I literally just applied to Arizona State because I was like, well, I know everyone gets in, so at least I'm going to have one guaranteed, in. And I, love sports, but like I wasn't really even interested in sports journalism. Like even in high school, like, I did, the weekly, high school like news show, and I just did like sports segments. But like in regards to sports writing, just like never really considered it. And then, got to ASU, checked it out, and was like, okay, this is actually amazing, what they offer. And, I did, everything in regards to, Blaze, having the radio shows, writing for, certain teams with them, and like WCSN, doing on-camera stuff with WCSN, covered the basketball team, covered the baseball team. And even then I was kind of like, I really have no clue what I want to do. Like I was still doing all my YouTube stuff, which I'm still doing. And I was like, I just have no clue. And then, my buddy Josh, he got an internship out here in LA with like, there's like the Cape Cod League, there's, this league, then there's like 50 yards down there. There's like I think it's called like the California Collegiate Summer League. It's some random league that's literally just like a bunch of community college guys out here. They play it right outside the Rose Bowl at a baseball field. He got the play-by-play gig, and he was like, yeah, man, there's an opening for like a writer gig. And I was like, I mean, it's 15 minutes away. I got nothing going on. You're doing it. Let me just do it. And I did it for 2 months. Like straight up no off days. They had us at a metal table, metal chairs in the direct sun in the middle of LA in the summer, and it was an absolute blast. And I was like, okay, this is kind of more at my alley, covering baseball, because like I said, I love all sports, but baseball is probably the one I know the most. And then year later, applied for just a part-time thing with True Blue LA, got that, and then kind of was like, okay, yeah, baseball is more my neck. And then yeah, just like I said, turned into pretty much my main being the Dodgers. But yeah, going into Cronkite, and pretty much up until I guess maybe my junior year at Cronkite, I had no clue. Even when I was graduating, because like I said, I didn't know what was going on. I had no clue what I wanted to do. I didn't know what direction I wanted to go in, what path I wanted to take. Like I said, it was just kind of getting lucky with SB Nation coming back. But yeah, and that was the good thing about Cronkite, because they literally offer so much. There were so many different things I could do, and like I said, I was in a good position because I was able to do so many different things, but also I was like, let me just figure this out as I go on, because there's a lot to unfold. But yeah, long story short, had no clue until kind of near the end that baseball was kind of the direction I wanted to go towards.
You and I have a very similar backstory, because I was in a very similar position entering Cronkite, where I was in high school. I mean, I did a podcast, but like I was planning on going to college to get into computers and do something in, because computer science and that kind of stuff is becoming more popular today. I just thought that was going to be what I would do. And then I went and visited the downtown campus, went to Cronkite, and I said, I love it here. Like, this is where I want to go. And it's really great, that feeling you get. Now, I have been someone on Twitter. I don't have many Twitter followers. Not many of us here do. And as a student, I've learned that it's important to grow that following. But how important do you think having a big following is when you get older in the position that you're in? Because you mentioned that having a big following helped you get the job you have now. How important do you think that really is when you're looking for a position in your field?
Yeah, but I think when you're looking for a position, it's not necessarily, that big of a deal at all. As long as there's no tweets they're going to dig up on you or something because they somehow check. As long as there's nothing like that, you're in the clear. Like I said, I think I was just in a unique position because, you know, they were, I don't know how many people they were looking at or anything like that, but they were thinking, here's a guy that's been with us for 2-3 years, has, 5,000 followers, whatever. Had there been someone else applying that had like 25,000 followers, maybe they would have gone that direction. But then again, it's because, I was a familiar voice on the site. So, whether you have like 10,000 followers or like 500 followers, I don't think they're necessarily going to care as long as your Twitter's like, you got to be professional, like I said, but before I, got the job, especially like my other one, that's just, a bunch of professional stuff. Now, like I could be kind of more, a little more loose than I was by then. So like I said, as long as you're a professional, as long as, like I said, they're not going to dig up anything that can potentially get you fired before you already start. I don't think the amount, necessarily matters at all because like I said, when I started at True Blue, I didn't even have this Dodgers account. I just had my one that was essentially me just talking college football all the time. So there was no even Dodgers talk even remotely close on that Twitter. So like I said, the number doesn't matter. Just like I said, as long as you're professional, you got some, good stuff like that. And I guess, that you're free, not like, every hour you're tweeting or every day you're tweeting, but like you're frequent, you reply to people, you're interactive. So, like I said, it's not, you need thousands or anything like that. Just that you're active, you have, like I said, not like strictly professional. You can, post stuff of you and the boys, at a basketball game, having a good time. But I think as long as you're doing that, you're going to be in the clear.
So now how do you recommend growing that brand? Because that is something that a lot of people struggle to do. And obviously you have amassed a lot of followers over the time. What are some things you recommend to grow that a little bit?
I think the smart thing I did, like I said, was how I made the second Twitter, because I had my main Twitter that I've had since like high school. That's just, all my friends I know and pretty much everyone like that followed me on YouTube. It was kind of in that one where I talked college football, kind of talked about just like everything that was going on with me. And I was thinking, like I said, I really want to like talk a lot about the Dodgers, post my articles, do all that kind of stuff. So I made a new Twitter. So I'm not saying like you have to make a new Twitter that, goes towards whatever you're doing, but I say like whatever, path you want to go. So like, let's say you apply for, some job and you get this covering, you're covering the basketball, the baseball, whatever team. And if you want to like keep that on your main Twitter, I say that that's all good. But if you do want to like, set aside your own Twitter for whatever you are covering in regards to that aspect, I think that could be, potentially helpful because like I said, this Twitter I just dedicated to Dodgers fans, Dodgers news, everything Dodgers, where, you go to my, like I said, my other Twitter and that's college football stuff, me talking about whatever, where maybe people that are Dodgers fans, they won't necessarily want to follow that. Whereas this one, like I said, it's only Dodgers stuff. Maybe I tweet the occasional Bachelor thing or, something else that's random. But like I think it's good to kind of like dedicate towards, again, whatever you want to do. Like I said, could be job related, could be, like you said, you're a Mets fan, just, this is entirely Mets stuff where a bunch of Mets people might want to follow it. So, it's dependent, but I think definitely sticking towards kind of a certain thing and being more, involved in regards to that, I think that definitely helps.
Good to know. Obviously, something we all hope to do is, grow that Twitter following, something that's really important. Ryan, we'll throw it back over to you. I know that you've got, I'm sure you have many things to ask.
Yeah, like, so you said that you had this connection with True Blue and SB Nation. Well, how did you get that connection and how have you been able to maintain it throughout?
Yeah, so I did my internship out here in LA, and then I want to say like March of going into my junior year, so I guess 18, Dodgers Nation, which is like a huge Dodgers like website out here for Dodgers fans. They have like 700,000 like likes on Facebook, like 100,000+ Twitter followers. I'd always followed them. I heard that they were, hiring writers. So I applied and, long story short, did that for a few months. It was awful. There's some behind the scenes stuff going on there. A lot of people can back that up, that it wasn't great. And in August, I heard that True LA was hiring, so I applied, and luckily my Dodgers Nation experience kind of led me to get that position. And it was literally just me, one other girl. It was two of us doing that site for about, like I said, so I got that in August of 2018, and I had that then until December of 2019 when the whole thing happened. And like I said, it was just pretty much like a year and a half of just consistency of me just pumping out articles on a day-to-day basis, me being reliable, me being, great. Because like I said, I got to go cover the team at the stadium, so I was good on that front. And like I said, I think it was just, when they were looking to bring in a bunch of new people, they were thinking, do we want to bring on someone new that we have no experience with, or do we want to stay in-house and go with this guy that's been here for a year and a half? And like I said, I was familiar with everyone, I had, good relationships with everyone. So it was kind of just that where, like I said, I was getting $400 a month, which I knew for a fact this was not something I can do full time once I graduated college. It was just something where, like I said, it was grocery money, maybe a little extra money a month. I was getting to write about the Dodgers. It was great for a resume. And, at the time, I had no clue that it was going to turn into what it did. And like I said, the day I graduated college, I thought I just lost the job completely and I had nothing going for me. And then, like I said, luckily, a month later, everything changed. So I think it just goes to show it doesn't necessarily matter, where you're starting or what you're doing, because you have no clue what that potentially, can turn into, not even sports related. My buddy that I've known since I was like 10 years ago, he had some random internship where he was like working at Warner Brothers, where he was essentially just like he was like doing awful work. Like he was doing nothing in regards to Warner Brothers. He was like essentially like a secretary type thing where he was like, everyone made him do anything. And like 3 years later, some guy was like, who was that guy that was like a super hard worker 3 years ago? Give him a call up. And now he's like the second like executive in regards to like funding at Warner Brothers, because 3 years ago he was really nice at his internship. So like I said, just being a great, hard worker at True LA for a year and a half, it made me stand out to them. And like I said, I tell everyone, like I said, your first job or whatever, it might not be the most glamorous, it might not be the best, you might be getting absolutely no money, but it definitely can benefit you in the long run. And that's what it did. So like I said, it just, whatever you're doing, build connections, be nice to people, establish friendships, ask questions. That's what I did. And like I said, I wasn't doing that to try to get higher up. I was just doing it because, I wanted to learn more. I wanted more help. And like I said, it was really, really beneficial for me.
Hard work pays off. That's a very big thing for people to know.
One of my best friends, he actually went to Harvard, and I can confirm that going to Harvard literally paid off. Just by having it on his resume, he literally gets any $100,000 plus job he wants. So yes, can't confirm.
That's true. All right. Now, anyone with questions, Marco, Nick, if you guys want to just jump in, because I'm sure everyone has questions. You just want to jump in with one, you can go ahead and ask.
All right, so I got one, Blake. So I've grown up a Dodger fan my whole entire life, and how I became a Dodger fan was because of the Sandlot. Because as a kid, I wanted to be Benny and Jet Rodriguez. But so I don't know if that was kind of the same with you, how you grew up watching this team and just you loved it. But now that you're in it, do you have to like check yourself sometimes? Like, oh my gosh, I'm covering my baseball team. Like when I saw you got included in Trevor Bauer's vlog, I thought that was pretty sweet. So I was like, wow, like I wonder if he has those moments, And one fun question: has it ever crossed to your mind? Like, this is what I think sometimes. It comes out of nowhere. I'm like, I think Blake looks like David Vassay sometimes.
Oh no! I've never had the chance to interact with Vassay, but just being around him and like hearing him, he like the way he interacts with players. I'm not certain if they like are in on some joke that they just aren't like a huge fan of him, or they absolutely love him. But I'll take the Vassay comparison. But yeah, he's an interesting guy for sure out here in LA. But it's it's weird, especially like when you get to go to games like in the press box, because like you said, I'm a huge Dodgers fan, and it's tough when you got to be professional, where you can't cheer, can't do anything like that. Like they preach and tell you in Cronkite, you got to be professional, and then especially like when you're in the clubhouse with the players, where same thing. Like I love each and every one of them. One of the funny thing back a few years ago, because I spent the whole summer covering the team at Dodger Stadium, talking with every player, pretty much 3-4 games a week. So not to say that we were like on a name-to-name basis, but they definitely like, I would like to say like I was recognizable to them. I go back to school in Arizona, and the Dodgers actually came into town in September. And, of course, me and the buddies were all down there because we got like $5 tickets through ASU because no one goes to D-backs games. And we're sitting like front row in the outfield. And, Cody Bellinger's out there playing center field. And I'm going, like I do every game, I'm going absolutely nuts in the front row. I'm like pounding the wall. I'm going nuts. And he comes over with a ball, and he like looks at me. And like I said, maybe he was just like looking at me, but I'm like, I definitely think he had to like second check and be like, wait, is that the guy that I've been like talking to, covering for the last 2 months that's going absolutely ballistic right now in the outfield? Like I said, he very well couldn't have, but he was like looking at me kind of like, well, it was also Cody, so maybe he was just high like he always is.
Yeah,
but,
I was going to say, like, the ones that we see in the postseason, he's like, huh?
So who knows? But I do have to remember, like, yeah, I kind of have to do check myself. But it is kind of remarkable. My first time actually, but I got to, be in the clubhouse was spring training. I guess the 29, 20, nowadays years, I can't remember what year it is, but I want to say 2019. I was at Camelback Ranch covering him for spring training, and Russell Martin was in there. Now this is when Russell Martin, I guess, was his final year with the Dodgers, and Russell Martin was actually the first Dodger jersey I ever owned back when he was on the team. I guess back in 2005, 2006. So when I was like 9, 10 years old, and I went over, I had to be professional. I had to interview him and whatnot. And, the interview ends and I go and I'm like, hey man, I just got to tell you, you were the first jersey I ever owned by a Dodgers player. So this was actually really cool. And he was like really cool. He's like, oh man, no way. Like, was it an authentic jersey or was it like one of the knockoff jerseys? And I was like, oh, I think it was like one of the authentic jerseys. Like, oh, good to know. Like you viewed me in that light back then, that I was worthy of an authentic jersey. And I was like, oh no, that was the parents about the jersey. So don't look at me in regards to that. So, it is cool where, like I said, I'm a huge fan of these guys, but it is kind of tough where, you have to remember, you got to be professional. You can't like say, hey man, I really love you. I love your game. You got to be, really professional in regards to that front. So, pros and cons to both where, it is tough going to Dodgers games where I can't really like go ham, root for the team and everything like that. But like I said, it's the price I'll pay, but it's definitely times where I like step back and I'm like, whoa, this is really dope. My cousin has like a kid that's like 4 or 5 years old that's already a huge Dodgers fan, and like whenever I see him, like I'll show him like videos on my phone of like being up close interviewing the players, and he thinks, well, my cousin who's like 35 also thinks it's the coolest thing, but my 5-year-old cousin, he's like thinking it's the sweetest thing ever. So it really is a lot of fun, and it's really cool. But like I said, gotta sometimes step back and be like, yeah, this is overwhelming almost.
Yeah, for me, it happened to me. What was it, like the spring training when like the pandemic started? I went to go cover the Dodgers, and I was taking some pictures. And like my favorite player on the team is Corey Seager, and
Yeah.
I was like, Corey came into the dugout, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Corey. And then like I was like walking to the dugout, and he's right behind me. I'm like, oh my gosh, this Corey Seager's right behind me. But
Right.
he's another human being. I'm cool. Like I gotta relax, So it was a good moment. But I'll tell you this much. My favorite moment as a Dodger fan is when I was able to go to the Vince Scully press box where Joe does his games.
Yeah.
I just sat in that chair. I saw the view that he has every night. I'm like, it's like heaven on earth, man. It was amazing. Like I almost lost it right there, but I was like, Joe is here.
Oh, and we lost you, Marco.
You got too excited.
Yeah, he's so excited. Now, Marco also was at the World Series winning game this year, got the ability to be there, which is really special for him. Marco, you are back now. You're unfrozen.
Sorry,
this seems to always happen.
Went away.
Every time we have a guest, your camera just freezes halfway through for whatever reason. You were at the part where you were talking about how you were saying like, "Oh my God, this is where," and then you just cut out.
Yeah, because like I realized that Vin did it for 67 years in this very spot, and then like I was able, like Joe Davis is my first ever mentor, and like I'm like, oh, this is so cool, and I was able to go shadow him for a game. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like the best seat in the house. When he says on the broadcast, it really is the best seat in the house, like in the whole entire planet. It's just a beautiful thing to watch. I'm like, damn, this is amazing.
Yeah, no, yeah, the press box spot is definitely like it's like the ideal spot where you're like right in the middle. You're not like too high, but you're not too low. Like it's like they're not lying when they say like it is the best seat in the entire house at Dodger Stadium.
That's interesting because like I know that a lot of stadiums are every stadium's different. I really can't wait to get out to Dodger Stadium one day. Obviously, that seems to be a special place to be. Now, Nick, I'll open the floor up to you. We'll whip it right back around.
Yeah, but like obviously you mentioned earlier how obviously you have like a different Twitter account for like each of your like different sports. My question is like how do you balance it all? Like obviously you have a big following with the Dodgers, and obviously I'm sure you have big followings in other places like with college football. And I think you mentioned earlier that you cover the Clippers. So like how do you balance that? I just feel like if like someone like you with 15,000 followers, I feel like it would just be all baseball. But like I feel like for you, you cover all different types of sports. So like how do you balance that really?
Right. So pretty much for the most part, like the Dodgers are the only one where I kind of like have anything Twitter related. Where like I did kind of want to do something with like the Clippers, like maybe make like a Clippers Twitter account, but I was like, it's just too much work. So pretty much every other site I really cover for SB Nation, I'm like have no voice on Twitter whatsoever. Like I am a Clippers fan, so like I will tweet the occasional Clippers thing, but considering that everyone that follows me is Dodgers fans, maybe out of those 15,000, like maybe 100 are actually Clippers fans. So I know that I have like no Clippers audience whatsoever. And then in regards to my other Twitter account, like during college football season, I'm more active over there. But since kind of like I said, this one's kind of turned into like my main one. Pretty much like that other one, like, I follow different accounts on there. So I kind of like go back and forth and just scroll and see what's going on. But that one, not that I've kind of like, let it go where I'm just not really as active on it anymore. So although it seems very difficult, it's actually pretty easy because like I said, I've turned my Dodgers one into my main Twitter account where literally, like I said, during college football season, then like I said, then it's more, I'm kind of like going back and forth, checking all my college football news over there, doing more tweeting, interacting more over there. But right now, like I'm actually gonna go check right now because I don't know when the last time I even tweeted on that account was. Maybe it was like when I was doing like a live stream or something like that. Yeah, like I'm looking at my latest tweets and it's when I'm just saying like, yeah, we're doing live streams tonight. So don't really use that one as much anymore, even though I should because I think I have like 2,500 followers on that one. So maybe people want to see my tweets again. But yeah, it seems like I said, it seems tough, but honestly, it's literally no difficulty at all going back and forth between all these Twitter accounts.
Now, rolling back a little bit to the fandom question, all of us here are major fans of our teams, and obviously
Right.
everyone is in that stage, especially in college. And everyone, like you said, at Cronkite all tells us, you really can't show that. And we've had a few people that have come into classes that say, you can. And I remember one class, I don't remember who it was, but a journalist came in and said, no, show your fandom. And the teacher was like, we're not supposed to do that.
Right.
So when do you know when to turn it off a little bit? Because I'm a very passionate fan. I seem to really I'm always, no matter what's happening, always jumping and saying like, this is amazing. But even now, I'm sure you show your fandom a little bit. When is that time when you have to just get more into professional mode?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's tough at ASU just because it's like, you're going to school there, like this is our team, like, you're student journalist. So I know that one's kind of like there is a tough one because I remember when I was covering like basketball games, like there were times when, we were kind of like go nuts if it was a big game. Like I remember when ASU played Kansas years ago, pretty much like all the writers in the press box when they were hitting big shots, they're all just like, going like ham and everything like that. So I think like once you get into like the professional field, like in regards to like covering a game at Dodger Stadium, it's kind of like you immediately know like, okay, like you gotta be like you need to make sure that there's no snafu. But there are like times where it is interesting because I guess everyone that's covering the team for the most part, maybe because they've been covering the team, they've like become Dodgers fans, they've turned into Dodgers fans. There are times, like kind of like rare moments during games, like maybe like there's an incredible play or something like that where they actually kind of like do applaud in the press box. Now granted, I'm sure a lot of those guys have been there for years and years, so they probably like know in the right time when you can applaud certain things are. Then if they applaud, then I'll join in. So I think it kind of just depends on essentially like what the moment is or something like that. Where I'm sure like last night if the game was at Dodger Stadium, the Mookie Betts Cats, I'm sure there would have been like reporters in there that probably would have been like going like holy crap, or they would have been going like clapping like that. So I think it depends on kind of just like the mood, how the game's going, and who the first person to kind of make a move is, because it sure won't be me. If I'm in there, I'm not going to be the first one to clap. But like I said, there have been times where people, they kind of clap, they kind of go, they're not going anything over the top. Like I said, kind of just like a subtle clap, or they're kind of like going like, oh man, that was nuts. So, for the most part, yeah, the ASU, I get how a lot of guys, they want to, not like I said, go ballistic, but there were times where, we were kind of cheering in the press box and whatnot at baseball, basketball games. But yeah, in the professional field, and it's hard, if I went to like an Angels game, that'd be no problem. I'm not rooting for the Angels. I got no rooting interest. I got no problem being professional. But it's just, when you're at a Dodgers game and Cody Bellinger hits one 450 feet to right center, and you just got to sit there and have a blank expression on your face. It is tough, but I will say it is easy to get used to. Like I did get used to it pretty easily. But it still is definitely tough sometimes. Like, there was a time I think where, it was like, I don't know what game I was at, but the Dodgers like took the lead in the 8th inning. And like it was just dead silent in the press box, and I was like, man, I should be standing up, just high-fiving everyone around me right now, but I couldn't. So it takes some getting used to, but I think it's easier if it's with a team you're not a fan of. So unless you guys get gigs immediately covering like the Mets, and the Royals, I think you guys are going to be pretty fine.
So I think it's safe to say it's more of like a feel out kind of thing. Like you can kind of tell when the moment is, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So yeah, that seems pretty realistic. You're just going about, and if no one else is cheering, you're not going to cheer. That's right. Kind of that's kind of like a human instinct too. You're not going to get up in a quiet room and just start yelling. So
right.
That seems to be a little bit more attainable than I think a lot of us expected. Nick, I'll open it back up to you because I feel like you've got some great questions to ask.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I just did not prepare one, so we'll just have to skip me and move on. I'll go next though. I really do.
Okay. Well, then I'll open the floor up to anyone. Jump in if you want.
Well, I have a question to piggyback off of the press box one. Why do you think that is, Blake? You know how, like me, I think it'd be hard. Obviously, like you're a Dodger fan as well. If I were covering the Dodgers, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like we just walked off again, but I have to be so composed. Like, why do you think that happens? Like that they have to keep that composure in the press box all the time.
It's probably just one of those things that just goes back to however long they've been allowing media and press boxes. I mean, probably, 50s, 40s, 30s, going back however long it is. It's probably just been one of those things where, because I tell people like I have to remind myself this sometimes too. It is a job. It is officially a job, which, like I said, it doesn't feel like a job, but you got to keep that professional, demeanor there. So, like I said, I mean, it does make sense because although it does suck, not being able to go crazy. Like imagine if like when the Padres come to town and all the Padres beat writers are in there, and essentially, it's a World Series like it is at Petco Park the last 2 nights. Apparently, it turns into a World Series in the press box where all of a sudden now we're all cheering, go nuts. I think that'd be awesome. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Have beat writers get into it and go at it with each other. But like I said, it makes sense. And like I said, my guess is this probably goes back, however long it does, where you gotta, because I like you guys said at Cronkite, they just jam that down your throat about, you got to be professional, got to do this, got to do that. So they know what they're talking about. So I got to follow suit. But like I said, the few times where like we do cheer and go nuts in the press box, it is awesome because it is kind of cool when all of a sudden all the beat writers are just like cheer and go nuts. Like I said, the rare times it happens when something crazy happens in the game. So it, like I said, pros and cons essentially to both. But I would not mind going at it with a Padres beat writer in the press box. That maybe it'll happen at some point this year anyway. But I would like that to happen.
No, that'll be fun. But Blake, so since you're with SB Nation right now, do you have any future plans maybe, or where do you see Blake Harris in 5 years? At the same time, just like what kind of advice do you give us? Like, for example, I'm about to graduate in 2 weeks and I'll be out of here. And so like, what kind of advice do you have for those people that are about to get into the industry or looking for an internship while they're still in college? What do you tell us?
Right. Kind of like what I said earlier when someone was like, yeah, what do you want to keep doing? I'm like, to be honest, like, cause my bosses, cause we have like a 2 or 3 times a year, we like talk with them just about where we're at and everything. They're like, yeah, so what do you want the next step to be? And I'm like, I know it sounds cliche and whatever, but I'm like, what is really out there that kind of would be more ideal than this, where I get to cover all these different teams. We get press, media access, so I can go to all these games. The pay is great. It's remote. I'm like, again, I'm sure there's opportunities out there. Like, for example, this past week, an opening at the Athletic open for the Dodgers. So I just applied for it and I said, let me just apply and see what happens, and haven't heard back. But I was thinking, even if like I hear back and, they're interested, I'm like, I mean, I still get to cover the Dodgers. I get to cover all these other teams here. Yes, it's the Athletic, which is, higher up than SB Nation, but, this is, an ideal position. So 5 years from now, I mean, granted, a lot can change, a lot can, go different ways, but I would not mind being where I'm at right now. Like I said, having this remote job, getting to cover the Dodgers because, I'll any job I get, covering a team, I'll be more than thrilled with. I got no problem with that. But covering, your favorite team right out of college, it's like I ended up like I'm already up here, like where I would potentially like to be. Now, if I was like working my way up and like by the time I was like 30, 35 covering the Dodgers, then it'd be like, okay. But the fact immediately I got that, like I said, who knows 5 years, 10 years from now, what opportunities will be out there, but it's really tough finding a gig that I'm going to enjoy more than this one. In regards to, advice and everything like that, pretty much just whatever you can do. I'm sure being a Cronkite, you guys have learned and adapted and been able to do a whole bunch of different things where, whatever opportunity you guys can get, by all means, absolutely go for it. Like I mentioned just a few years ago, just because my buddy was doing this, summer baseball internship, not paid, literally, like I said, I don't know how many leagues beneath the Cape Cod this is, but it was a bunch of community college guys. And I just did it to hang with my buddy, gain experience, got it on the resume. That helped me get the Dodgers Nation thing, which helped me get the True Blue thing, which, it all kind of works your way up where, again, you're not going to be, covering your absolutely favorite team right out the gate, which, like, fortunately I was able to. You're probably going to be like one of my buddies that's out there in Tucson, that's out there in Idaho covering some Idaho high school team where, it might be a year or two where it's you're not enjoying it, but eventually, you work your way up. And in regards to internships, although some of them might not be paid, I did a internship at, the Arizona sports radio station. I know a lot of people at ASU, they do that internship where it wasn't paid, but, I became really close with one of the hosts of the show and developed connections through him. And, it was, like I said, 3-4 months, didn't get paid, but the relationships I built, they were definitely worth it. So I think, just develop relationships. Like you said, Marco, you got Joe Davis as a mentor. My buddy Josh, he, reaches out to a bunch of play-by-play broadcasters, not the big, well, so he somehow like knows a lot of, big time guys, but even like small time guys, like what you guys can do where, if there's like certain teams you follow, reach out to those beat writers. I'm not exactly certain what path all you guys want to go down, but like I said, whatever team, you guys are a fan of, reach out to those beat writers, reach out to the play-by-play guys, reach out to the people in charge of communications, reach out to just as many people as possible. And you can literally just say like, hey, I'm interested in this field. If you have any advice for me, you don't have to be asking for like a job. You can just say, if you have any advice, if you have any recommendations, if you have like 5-10 minutes to go over my reel and provide feedback, people, if you ask, because there are people that reach out to me and they're like, yeah, hey, I want to do this. I want to apply to this college. And I just say like, yeah, any questions you have, I'm here to help. They're always nice. And these guys, for the most part, people in the sports journalism field that I've learned, you won't really find too many jerks that are just think that they're better than everyone else. Like if you ask, like they'll be willing to help. So yeah, just like, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to develop friendships, relationships. And like I said, your first job, your first internship, it might not seem like the best, but like I said, I spent 3 months in the straight heat in LA at a metal table covering the Arroyo Seco Sentinels with, I don't think any of those players are even playing D1 right now. So, at the time, now granted, like I said, one of my closest friends was doing the job too. So that definitely made it a little better, but it got me experience, like I said, it added something to my resume. So, definitely, go out there, get whatever you can, whatever's available, take it. Like I said, just develop connections, reach out to people, be nice. And, I think you'll be in the clear because like I said, you can work your way up, a lot quicker than you think. It just seems slow at the time, but like I said, those 3 months seemed super long back then, but looking back at it now, I'm like, it was literally 3 months to, essentially take the next step in regards to extending my journalism career. So a lot of different, I guess, tips right there, but a lot of helpful things that can, really take you a long way.
I would say that advice, a lot of what you just said, was probably the best advice I've received in my time of college. Speaking for myself, I don't know about you guys, but I've never been told to reach out to people and ask for advice. Like no one ever said that. Like in classes, they don't say like reach out to your favorite team's reporters and stuff. Like they never say that. Like they just they don't tell you those things. Like they say like ask for help, but they don't ever say like go out and write to all these people for your teams and stuff and have them give you mentorship. That's important advice.
Yeah, like literally like a few years ago, because I was, I was like, I'm interested in doing this, but like I have nothing on my resume, I have no experience. So I literally just like reached out and like emailed. I just found out, all the emails for like all the beat reporters I like, all the beat reporters I follow. And one of them, his name's like Broderick Turner. At the time, I think he covered the Clippers. Now he covers the Lakers for the LA Times. And I just reached out to him and he was super nice. And then when the Clippers came into Phoenix, he actually emailed me and said, yeah, I'm going to be in Phoenix. Would you like to meet up, talk about where you're at and everything? So we went out, we got lunch at Marley's in downtown Phoenix, and we just, had lunch for a couple hours, talked, and, like, just because, like I said, I just reached out, it was like, hey, just, do you have any advice? Talked with him, and I did that with a bunch of other, guys, and not all of them emailed back, but, like one of them, he covers the Dodgers for the OZ Register. He replied, and he's like, listen, like, my advice to you is, do this if you love it. Like, don't do it if you're in it to go to games for free. Don't do anything like that. If you love doing it, like, absolutely do that. I've been doing this for like 40 years because I love it. So make sure you love it. And, I went back and forth with him, and I've actually gotten the chance to meet him, which has been cool since, because it's ironic that, it was just a few years ago. So like I said, you're right. They don't really preach that at Cronkite, which seems kind of odd, because I guess they don't want you to make it seem like, hey, you're spamming a bunch of people. But like I said, as long as you're not just saying like, hey, do you have a job for me? Do you have an internship for me? If you just straight up say like, hey, I'm a student at Cronkite interested in going into this field, do you have any advice? Do you have any recommendations? And, if they come back, then if you can reply to that saying like, if you have, 5 to 10 minutes, I'd love for you to check this out. And like I said, for the most part, from what I've learned, there's not a whole lot of jerks, and a lot of guys, because for pretty much every sports journalist, they've all started at the bottom. Like, unless, your dad or something, or, someone that gets you a job somewhere where you're immediately working your way up, everyone has to work their way up somehow in the field. So it's like I know that, like I said, 3 years ago, I was doing this. So I know that you got to work your way up, which is why I'm always like, yeah, I got no problem helping out, answering questions like that. So, just like I said, shoot your shot in a way. And, the worst they can do is just not email back. But, best case scenario, all of a sudden you have a connection. And like I said, it didn't work out for me, but like, let's say, you reach out to this guy and you go back and forth, and all of a sudden, like there's like a spot that opens up, and they go, yeah, actually, I know this guy that was at Cronkite for a couple of years. I went back and forth. He's a really good journalist. Let's give him a shot. Like I said, it didn't happen to me, but there's no reason that can't happen to like someone else, that because they were just nice, they developed a friendship, and they know that, this person's a good hard worker, and, anything can happen. Like, they say it's all about kind of who you know nowadays, and as many connections and friendships that you can build in any field, even if it's being a writer. Because like I said, the relationship I developed with the guy that's the host at Arizona Sports, I don't think I'm going to be getting a call anytime soon to be a radio show host, but he knows of me, and he knows, for whatever reason, of me if I were to be brought up, just because I was there for a couple months and developed a good friendship with him. So like I said, reach out and just get your name out there. Like I said, the worst case, someone just doesn't reply to your email.
That's great advice. Now we'll wrap it up with Nick and Ryan for the questions, and then we'll get into our meat and potatoes of the baseball show. Marco, you can ask one more too if you want. Nick, we'll start with you.
Like, I'm just curious. I feel like every journalist has their own type of story, but like, how did you get into sports in the first place? Like, did it start at a young age, or did you develop it like over like in middle school or in high school, or just like, where did your love of sports and your passion of sports really come from?
It's really ironic, because both my parents, like, they weren't into sports growing up whatsoever, even though my dad was actually at the Kurt Gibson home run game in '88, but he was like he was just there for work. Like, all my like close friends from high school, they like were on like the soccer team or something like that, but they were like, none of them were deep into sports like I am. I think what my parents just did, because I'm an only child, I think when I was like 4 or 5, they were just like, we need to figure out something. I mean, like, I did like, like Little League. I did like soccer when I was little, did basketball, did like, like what parents make all their kids do, where they just play it. But they took me to like Dodgers games. They took me to Clippers games, because this was like early 2000s. So they were thinking, are we going to spend a bunch of money on primetime Kobe Shaq Lakers? Or are we going to take him to these awful Clipper games that are, super cheap? He's not going to know the difference, which is why I'm a Clippers fan, because of that. And so they just took me to, a bunch of Clippers games, a bunch of Dodgers, because the Dodgers were also bad in the early 2000s. So we would just go to a bunch of games because they were cheap. And that's when I just started, falling in love with the Clippers, the Dodgers. and that's pretty much how it came about. Was never really into the NFL, but I was a huge USC fan growing up. So once Reggie Bush was drafted by the Saints, then I became a Saints fan. That's when I started getting into the NFL. I guess when I was, I don't know, 12, 13, whenever it was he was drafted by them. So then that's when I started adding on to the NFL. And then, I've always loved college football in regards to that. But yeah, it was kind of just, again, I think my parents, I mean, like I said, they're not into sports, but they're the reason for it. Because like I said, they just thought he's an only child. Let's give him something to do. So they bring me to those games. So, like I said, it's always tough explaining why I'm a Clippers fan because people don't understand why, especially living in Los Angeles, because we're rare out here. But it's literally because I'm not going to say they were cheap, but they said he's not going to know the difference between a Clippers or a Lakers game at the age of 5. This is a whole lot cheaper, so we're going to go that route. But I think that's the reason why, going to Dodgers games, going to Clippers games at the age of 5, 6, 7, and being lucky enough to, one, I guess, have the teams be so bad where going to 10 games a year was very affordable for us because tickets were, I think, literally like $5 each. So it was $15 a game. So that's pretty much, how it started, how my fandom really started, at a pretty young age.
I think you connected with Nick big time there in the Clippers stuff.
Are you a Clippers fan?
Oh no, I'm just a huge basketball fan. I'm also from LA, so like I get the whole Clipper Lakers thing.
Okay.
It's just funny how Clipper fans tell their origin story because it's always something like that. They weren't supposed to be Clipper fans, but they just happened they were.
Right, or even they're like, oh, I became a fan because of Blake Griffin, and they're like, oh, that's a bandwagon. But it's like, it's not a bandwagon because like they were still bad when he was, first there for a couple of years. Then they got Chris Paul, and they were good. Yeah, it's like no Clippers fan has the same. Like it's like, oh, it passed on from generation to generation. Like no, it's just like literally everyone has some random like interesting story. Which, like I said, there's not a whole lot of Clippers fans that I know, but it's. The ones you do find, like they're passionate bunches. So, the Clippers, they break your heart every year. So it's the price you pay.
We'll do Ryan and Marco, and then we'll head off for Blaze, and then get into our our actual baseball talk.
Marco, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go?
No, you go ahead, Ryan. You go first.
I'm going to ask a baseball question here.
Ah, yes.
As a beat reporter and someone who's around the game a lot, would you be scared as a Dodgers fan to see a NLDS series where the Dodgers and Padres match up?
Oh, 100%. I was scared last year. I was scared last year, and I was shocked when the Dodgers swept them. I didn't think it was going to go that route. I hate the way that the playoff format is set because, first off, just the fact that, well, it makes sense, but like likely the Padres are going to be in the wild card game. But, the Dodgers, they're going to have the best record in baseball this year, no questions asked. And the fact that they're most likely in the first round going to have to play likely the Padres, who are probably going to win 95 to 100 games, when that very well should be like the NLCS matchup. In 7 games, I wouldn't worry about it. But these well, first off, I can't remember. I don't think that they're sticking to that whole 3-game series that they did last year, which was the absolute worst. I hated that. I thought that was awful for baseball. I'm still not a fan of the 5-game series because, as we've seen, just the Dodgers and Nationals from a couple years ago, if you have a good starting rotation, which is why I would not want to see the Mets in a 5-game series, just because if they have a healthy starting rotation, that can be absolutely lethal. I would be scared for the Padres just because, again, all you got to do is win 3 of 5, which is doable. Winning a 7-game series is a lot more difficult. So, yeah, I think it'd be great for a matchup because I think that would add to the rivalry that a lot of people think exists, which I don't think it is. But if those two teams were to meet in the playoffs this year and it'd be a good series, then I think it would become a rivalry. But as a baseball fan, I think that'd be fantastic for baseball. As a Dodgers fan, I want the easiest road to the World Series as possible. And having to play who I think, again, is the second best team in baseball in the DS as opposed to the CS, as little into the World Series, like I said, I would be worried. Like I said, I was worried last year, and that was, the Padres are a lot better this year than they are last year.
I think there's a very large. Go ahead.
So last year you mentioned a change with the 3-game wild card series, which I agree sucked. I love the 1-game aspect of it all.
Yeah.
What do you think of the MLB not sticking with the universal DH and adopting what is basically California rule with a runner on second to start extra innings because these guys know my feeling about California rule, and it is the worst thing to ever be created, in my opinion.
Like, I mean, Rob Manfred's the absolute worst, and baseball is the worst. Like, I get, because I know especially this year they were using the DH as leverage, where they were like, okay, give us expanded postseason and we'll give you the DH. And MLB, they were like, okay, no, like expanded postseason is literally the worst. Like, no, we'll just hold off on DH for a year until like most likely they adapt it next year. So I'm at least glad that we're not going to get that because again, I know it worked out for the Dodgers last year, but the fact that you can literally just win essentially a 3-game, you just have to win a 3-game series, which in baseball, even the absolute worst teams can beat the best team 2 out of 3 on any game. I mean, hell, last week the Pirates I think beat the Padres 2 out of 3. Well, I think they played 4 games, but they won, I think, 2 out of 3 to start off the series. So anything can happen. In regards to the runner on second rule, that thing is an absolute joke. I hate it. I do think I will say this though. If I am watching another game, I do enjoy it because I get how it kind of makes it more exciting. But like in regards to my team, I just like I understand. But that's the thing I like about baseball is like I think there were a few times in Arizona where I was at a game to like the 15th or 16th inning. I get it's not exciting. I love that. I love the strategy that comes when it's the 15th, 16th inning. But the reason baseball, they want to speed up the game, that's not bringing in losing viewers. I mean, the whole thing with like the intentional walk, how now you don't have to pitch to them, how they're limiting mound visits, that's not going to make or break a guy watching baseball. It's not going to have any difference. Like I said, the extra inning rule, I can see from an outsider's point of view where I'd be more inclined to tune into a game in extras if there's a runner on second than as opposed to if it's the 11th inning, this game can go on forever, maybe if I want to tune in. But like as a fan, especially when my team's involved, I think it's the absolute worst because you could get screwed by it. Also, the fact that it's been a year and a half and managers still aren't bunting a guy over to third with 1 out to get a sack in, and they're still not playing small ball. I don't understand, but that's just me. But like I said, I from an outsider's view, I kind of understand it, but I still think as a whole, they need to scrap the rule. They need to absolutely get rid of it because I think it's awful for baseball.
Okay, so I need to give an explanation. I have gone on, I think, 2 or 3 just minute rants about how horrible California rule is.
A minute? It's been like 5 minutes apiece.
I hate it. So I played baseball my entire life competitively and all that. Every time you go into an extra inning, it is stupid California rule, and it's the worst thing. The run is unearned for the pitcher.
Yeah.
And I was a pitcher, so every time I'm on the mound, if the team was smart, they just bunt the guy over and then get a sac fly, and they have the lead. It is the most frustrating rule, and it is the most pointless rule. So I'm glad somebody agrees with me on it.
But still, like, no one does it. I mean, then again, I'm sure there's some teams where if like maybe it's tied or something, but it's like you got to play the small ball, or even then like the other night, like in the Dodgers game, you know,
I was gonna say, like, unless you're Corey Seager hits a first pitch 2-run shot, you know.
Earlier in extra innings, they stranded their runner on second, and they should have just bunted him over.
But what I was going to say as well, another strategy that I don't know why no one does, if you're the team and if you're the away team and let's say you don't score in that first inning and you go into the bottom half of the inning down, why don't you just intentionally walk whoever the first hitter is, put runners on first and second with no outs, because that runner on first essentially does nothing because it's just the runner on second wins. And now all of a sudden a double play and you have 2 outs and a runner on third, whereas now you're like, no one does that. I'm like, why? Am I seeing something that these managers aren't seeing? I'm like, if I was in this situation, every time I'm in the bottom of the half of that inning, if we didn't score, I'm intentionally walking the first guy and I'm setting up the double play or, you know, something like that. Because like I said, the runner on first means absolutely nothing. It's all the runner on second. So you might as well potentially get 2 outs with a grounder instead of someone grounds out to second. Now all of a sudden the runner's on third with 1 out. Now you have a runner on third with 2. I try like, if I was a manager, I'd be having bunts at least once a game. I'd still be playing small ball. I'd be doing hit and runs. I'd be stealing. I'd be butting guys over. I know it's not the sexy thing to do anymore. If I'm a manager and they're shifting on my guy and there is no one on the left side, I'm telling them bunt down the third base line. I get you want to hit a home run or a double. I'll take a single because then you got a guy on base, and all of a sudden, if you keep doing that, they're not going to shift anymore. I don't know. I see all this stuff from my point of view, and I'm like, why are managers doing this? I don't get it. I can go on a hot take like you can. I can go completely off.
I
on
agree
these
with
baseball rules.
everything that you just said. Every single aspect I have thought about and said to at least one of these guys.
I think we've got a great future movie collaboration between the two
Yes.
of you, and I also think we found a future in managing for you, Blake, too. If for some reason journalism doesn't work, you're clearly set to be a manager.
Well, I'm telling you, man, I'd be stealing bases. I'd be getting guys over with the bunt, and like we'd be winning games, like 100%. Like I bring back old school baseball. Yes, people
Joe
would love
Madden.
to do it. Yeah,
Yes.
Joe Madden. He pulls that stuff, and look what happens. He wins World Series.
Exactly. He's a legend. Now, we are going to have to sign off for Blaze. We're sticking around here on YouTube, though. But if you were listening on Blaze, this is the last show of the semester, probably. It's the last show that's supposed to happen for the semester. We are possibly going to be having summer shows. We don't know. That is going to all depend on the new board members that are going to come in. But for right now, Blaze Radio, sophomore year. It's coming to an end. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of fun this sophomore year. We've had a lot of great times here on Running the Bases. So thank you for tuning in all year long. We're happy to have you, and we look forward to having you again next year, junior year. Hopefully Marco is staying along with us next year because, he's not a sophomore. He's a senior who's leaving. So we're hoping that he can stick around and be a guest on the show next year for every show.
I have a backup. I don't want to use him.
Don't even say it, Ryan.
I don't want to use him. I want you to stay. Remember that. And that's for all of our viewers to know, because
why would you bring that up?
The bad guy.
He's always looking
why
to
did you
just
even bring it up, bro? Like, why?
Because we want you to stay. We need our Dodgers fan.
We all want Marco to stay, and we
making
hope he will be.
Making fun of Michael for his bias.
We all want Marco to stay. Thank you guys again for listening all year on Blaze. We look forward to having you back for junior year and Marco's post-graduation year. Thank you again on Blaze. We'll see you next time. If you were here on YouTube, we're still sticking around. We're still here with Blake. Marco, I'll have you ask the last question, and then we'll get into our power rankings and running the bases. Blake will be giving us some. He'll be our color commentator for that stuff, which will be fun. It'll be exciting to have. So, Marco, go ahead and fire away for the last one.
So I'll just stick to baseball talk. So since you're talking about managers, what do you think about Dave Roberts? Like, yes, he won a World Series, but we know what's happened prior to the World Series. And how do you think of him bringing Canley every once in a while out of the bullpen to close out games?
I mean, Dave has definitely had his moments in the past where he, the Dodgers, they're very, analytics driven, which I get that's the thing in baseball nowadays. But as we saw with Blake Snell in the World Series, who cares about analytics and matchups? Go with the guy that's currently shoving. And, Dave Roberts has gone against that in the past. I mean, obviously he won a World Series. Granted, I've said on record that I think if I was managing this Dodgers team, I would at least get us to the NLCS or the World Series with the amount of talent on that team. So I think he is a good manager. I mean, still, it's tough to have 5-6 seasons the way he has, regardless of how good your team is. But yeah, the decisions he's made definitely are questionable. I still am on board the whole Kenley situation. I think he gets way too much hate. I don't think he's a guy that you should be throwing out there 2 days in a row or 3 and 4 days. I think he's 3 times a week max, maybe 2 times a week kind of a guy. But I mean, I still think he's fine. But, again, like last night, Corey Knebel allows 2 runs. Twitter's absolutely quiet. And, or I guess 2 nights ago. And Corey Seager can't get a tag down to win the game when Jansen's on the mound that would have secured the save. He allows a run, and everyone absolutely tears him down. So I feel bad for the guy. But, I think Dave is fine, because the tough thing, and I've said this in years past, where, Dave's whatever, but like, who are you going to get that's better out there than him? I was hoping for Joe Madden a few years ago when he was leaving the Cubs, but obviously he went to the Angels. I was really hoping Joe Madden would come. But like I said, Dave's fine. The worst part is that Dave has to make this so hard. He's like the nicest guy. Like, there is not a mean bone in his body. He is like so nice to every reporter. He's always in a good mood. Like, if he was a total jerk, it would make it so much easier to want him gone or to hate on him. But the dude is like the absolute best, like, human being imaginable. So it's like you get mad at him and then you're like, but I do like love him deep down. So it's a really tough situation with Dave. But like I said, the fact that he won the World Series, he gets a pass for now, but we'll just see this October what he'll pull something. Something's coming. He's going to yank someone too early. He's going to do some sort of switch. They're going to go on some sort of analytics-driven route. But like I said, Dave, he won the World Series, so he's got my pass until October.
There's really like no managers in baseball today that you can look at and just say, oh man, he's just the best. Like no one really has that anymore. I mean, yeah, Joe Madden, but other than him, I mean, I really couldn't pinpoint anyone. Everyone makes a lot of mistakes, and everyone gets criticized. I really don't know a manager in baseball that doesn't get criticized at all.
Yeah, even then, it seems like, it's like I said, because everyone's there, and it's like if you could have any manager, like who would you want? It's like Joe Madden's kind of like the easy one, but if it was like if you had to choose like 3 managers who you'd like want running your team, it's not like years ago where it seemed like it was an easy answer. Like you'd have to think like I don't really, because everyone like at their different respected teams, like they succeed based off what like they do there. Like in Tampa Bay, like talent wise, are they a great team? But like they do the whole analytics thing and it works for them. So it's like, is Kevin Cash, is he a top 3 manager? Well, no, because what he did with Blake Snell, so that takes him out of the equation right there. But it's like, I don't know. It just depends on, I think, talent, the upfront, what they want to do and how they manage the team. So like, with covering the Angels, Joe Madden doesn't even make the lineups. He's not even in charge of making the lineup cards. That's, above him. So when he was in Chicago, I'm not exactly certain if he was doing the lineups there, but it just goes to show like nowadays, I don't know what you really need out of a manager anymore.
That's really true. It's funny you brought up Kevin Cash, because I was actually going to say, you talked to me last year at this time, and I would say Kevin Cash, best manager in baseball. But then what happened in the World Series, it immediately brought into question his judgment. So very interesting. I mean, an hour of questions. That was phenomenal. Blake, thank you for the amazing answers with your questions. Really insightful. I know I got a lot from that, and I learned some really great life experience. So now we get into our raw baseball content of the show. And what we do every week for those that are new is that we do power rankings, and then we have our running the bases where we have first, second, third, and home. At first, we've got Ryan. At second, we have Nick. Third is Marco. At home is me. And we've all got our own special segments. And Blake, you're going to be our color commentator today. So we're going to just roll through it, and you're going to give us what you think, your opinions on everything as we go, because normally it's just the 4 of us, and I'm happy to have outsider information and viewpoints on it. So I think it'll be fun. So Ryan, I see you're unmuted. Do you have something to add?
Well, if we're doing our bases, I think I go first, so I'm ready to go.
Well, we're doing the power rankings first.
Okay, that's what we usually do. Then you got to the bases. I was like, are we switching it up this week?
No. I just said we're doing power rankings and then the running the bases.
I'm ready to go.
I am too. So we'll get in. Blake, you can jump in whenever. We'll briefly pause at the end of each power ranking spot if you want to just jump right in. Don't hesitate. Just come right out and say something. It's not going to hurt.
I'll let you guys, do everything you need to say, and then right at the end, I'll come in and add my 2 cents.
Well, that's great. That's exactly what I was hoping for. So,
wait, do we have to go through all 30 for each one? That's a lot.
Well, I mean, if he wants, he might say, I don't need to say anything for that spot. It's completely up to him to add his point of view in there. So we start at number 30. And this week at number 30, even though they did just beat the Mets yesterday, I've got the Rockies. It's been a really rough one for them. And we'll go in order of how we are on the screen of Ryan, Marco, and Nick after.
I agree. I have the Rockies in the last at 30.
I got the Rockies at 32. Easy.
I have the Pirates, but yeah.
But they won 2-3 from the Padres in 3 days. They split the series.
I don't care. I will continually say that the Pirates are the stinkiest team I've ever seen on paper.
We were so close, so close. Blake, any objections there with the Rockies / Pirates?
Up to this point, you can make the case that, the Rockies have been playing like the worst team, but I do agree with him. I think when it's all said and done, this Pirates team is going to finish dead last. Like the other day, I was like, how many players can I name just off the top of my head? I think it was like 3. And then when I looked at that roster, I'm like, my God, this is just an absolute travesty. Like, I don't know how they win like 50 games this year. So 2 weeks into the season, they haven't been playing like the worst. I'll give them that. But when it's all said and done, they are by far going to be the absolute worst, because that team is just, my God, like bad.
Yeah, bad. I completely agree. And I think at number 29, this is a team that's underperforming heavily. And I don't think I ever expected to say this team in 29 this year, the New York Yankees.
I think you're a little low with them. I have the Diamondbacks. And I think the reason I have the Diamondbacks is that horrible loss on Tuesday when they were up 5-0 with Zach Gallen, who pitched well in his first outing, and they just give up 7 runs and lose. It was either 7-5 or 8-6. I can't remember which was the ending score. So I have the Diamondbacks at 29.
I got the Pirates at 29. Yeah. I would say it was tied for 30, but like those two teams are just horrible with the Rockies and the Pirates are just terrible.
There's no ties in baseball.
I know, but like it makes
Unless
you
it's
think
spring
like,
training.
Of course. But like you see the Pirates and the Rockies, I'm like, dang, I don't know who's the worst team in baseball out probably the Pirates, but I gave a little bit of credit to the Rockies for being the Mets.
I'm just doing this because it won't happen ever again this season. I went with Michael. The Yankees are at 29 for me, and it's just really fun to watch. And obviously, like I said, it won't happen again for us this season. But they have the worst record. They have the worst record in the AL right now, and I think it's fair to say that they've been the 29th best team in baseball.
Yeah, it's been tough.
Yeah, the fact that I was going to say the fact that what Yankees fans the other day just absolutely had enough, and it's been 2 weeks into the season, they're already throwing trash on the field. They're already wanting to spam their team. That's absolutely fantastic. Like, I got no problem with the Yankees. I don't really know any Yankees fans, so I can't get in on this. But my God, is that hilarious watching them just be absolutely pissed with, like I said, they're 5-9, so they've played 14 games, and you're throwing stuff on the field. And like you said, that they have the worst record in the American League. So a lot of people have them being like a World Series favorite. So yeah, I think you can make the case they should be 30 because of how they've just been failing expectations. But it was absolutely fantastic the other day watching them just freak out because they're 4 games under 500.
Yeah, I agree. Being from New York, I know a lot of Yankee fans, and I will say they are, for some reason, incredibly mad at the world at the moment. So
deal with Yankee fans on the daily, so you get used to it.
You do. You eventually get used to it. At number 28, I agree with Ryan from 29. I've got the Diamondbacks. Unfortunately, Blake, you had to have the same issue that while we're here in Arizona, the Diamondbacks just aren't good. It's too bad, but I wish that they were doing a little better.
Yeah.
Okay, the Yankees at 28.
I got the Diamondbacks at 28.
I have the Rangers at 28.
Okay, it's solid. Not much. See, in these earlier spots and in the middle, it's going to really be not much of a question. At 27, I've got the Tigers. Sorry.
27, I have the Rangers.
Okay.
Ryan, that's why you my dog, boy. 27 Rangers.
27, I have the Tigers.
Oh, man.
I just want to add something on the Rangers. This kind of goes back to what I was saying about the Pirates earlier. They do have a few more familiar names on that team, but my God, is that squad just overall just bad? There's a reason they got no hit last week. They are bad. They're going to finish dead last in that division. And like I said, they're going to be near the bottom in regards to these rankings the entire year. That team is off. My God, they are bad.
If you see a good pitching performance, it's usually going to come against the Rangers.
Right.
That's just right.
God, they're bad.
And the Dodgers play them this year, too.
Hey, can you tell me what that's like? Because opening day, Brad Keller allowed 5 runs to the Rangers before recording an out. Still got the win, though. Still got the win.
So I was doing a preview for the Angels the other day. So that's the reason his ERA was 19.29 going into that game. Well, that makes sense then.
In the first 2 games, he allowed 10 runs.
Woo! Jeez.
He allowed 6 to the Rangers, and then next outing to the White Sox, Yerman Mercedes hit a 485-foot moonshot right after Yohan Moncada hit a dinger. Yeah, he started out rough, but he looked really good against the Angels.
Yikes. So number 26, I've got the Rangers, the aforementioned Rangers.
At 26, this is going to be the highest they will be all season probably, the Pirates.
Wow. That's pretty high up. I got the Tigers on my spot.
26, I have the D-backs.
See, I've actually got the Pirates a little bit higher at this point. At number 25, not much, but they
have to be in the bottom 5. They have to be.
but they're not for me at least. They've been playing better the last week. I gave them the respect for beating some solid teams. They beat the Padres.
Every blind squirrel's got to get a nut every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, they beat the Padres twice. I've got to give them respect. At 25, I have the Nationals. They were 30 last week, so a little bit of improvement.
Next up, at 25, I have the Tigers. Lost 3 in a row.
At 25, I got the Yankees.
Yikes.
25, I have the Nationals.
Hey, all right. Nick and I agree. 24, man, this gives me a lot of pleasure. I've got the Braves.
24, I have the Cubs. I'm just, no. I have no faith in the Cubs.
24, I have the Braves too, Michael.
24, I have the Marlins.
Okay. Blake, I'm sure you've got something to say on the Braves for sure, the way they're playing.
I don't understand. I mean, granted, it's been because let me pull. I have the standings right here. Yeah, they're 6-9. Granted, it's not a whole lot, but yeah, this was I thought they were going to be competing with the Padres to be the second best team in the National League this year. So definitely shocked to see the slow start, and pretty much aside from Acuna, who's I think like actually carrying the entire offense on his back, like the offense has been absolutely quiet, which is shocking because I think you can make the case again with the Padres. They have the second best offense in all of the National League. So shocked to see them struggling, but I guess, it has been 15 games. So, a lot of time to flip the script, but definitely shocking that they've been, because I mean, if Acuna was playing just like an average hitter, this team would probably have like 3 or 4 wins.
Yeah, possible.
And that bullpen is really struggling after losing Shane Green and Melanson. It's not looking good.
Yeah.
Definitely been a tough one. So at 23, I've got the Pirates. That's probably the highest they'll be all year. I'm shocked that they're at that point, but honestly, the teams below them have struggled so much in the last week.
At 23, I have the Braves. The offense is not doing anything outside of Acuna, and the bullpen is abysmal.
Yeah, for 23, I have the Washington Nationals. That's where I'm going for 23.
23, I have the Cubs.
Well, I've got the Cubs at 22. Just, it's been rough.
22, I have the Twins. That offense is not doing anything. If I'm a Twins fan, I'm scared because you've got so much power with Cruz, Sano, Buxton's hitting the ball pretty well, and they just can't do anything really.
Yeah, I got 22 for the Twins as well.
Nick.
My bad. 22, I have the Twins also.
Man, I was one off. I have them at 21.
We almost
Blake,
had
I'd like to.
Then Michael had to ruin it.
Well, I've got them at 21. So, Blake, I'd like to hear your chat on the Twins because they're slowly turning into the Mets, too, with all their postponements.
Well, I'll just add to this to make you feel bad. I don't have a top 30, but I'll have the Twins at 22 as well, just to make it essentially a clean sweep. But yeah, and this was a team that was supposed to literally be like the favorite to win the division, and they've just been, again, like non-existent. Like Nelson Cruz is, still 41, has an OPS of like 1,300, so he's doing what needs to be done. But like, no one else is literally. Oh, I guess. Well, Byron Buxton has been like the AL MVP front runner so far because he's like, just like he's finally playing like the prospect he was touted as like 7 years ago. So it took 7 years, but he's finally playing well. But again, it's tough to say because it's so early on, so they could easily probably still renovate the division. But yeah, definitely shocking to see how much they've been struggling or not. I mean, I think let me see. I'm pretty certain. What are they? Are they last? Or yeah, they're last because I just have the total standings. Yeah, they're last in the AL Central, which is very shocking to say the least. I don't think anyone was expecting that 2 weeks into the season, but I think they'll turn it around.
Definitely agree. All right, so I said 21 for the Twins, and then we've got the rest of the 21s here. 21,
I have the Nationals. I got to give credit to Kyle Schwarber. That was a bomb that he hit.
For 21, I got the Rays.
21, I have the Athletics.
Wow, so we all disagree. I think that's the first time we've all disagreed. Yeah, I also.
I need a timeout real quick. Did you say the Athletics at 21?
Yeah, it was good.
They've won 7 in a row.
Nick, they're 8-7.
They were 1-7 at one point.
They're
another 8-7.
Congratulations! That's how a 7-game win streak works. Yeah. so before, when they were in like 28, they now moved up to like 21.
Spoiler alert! I have him in the top 5. I just
Top 5.
Yeah, it's okay. Wow, this is
Well,
Blake,
you have
welcome
Marco
to us
Garaffa.
disagreeing. This is our
My favorite part about that was that Nick was like, "Yeah, that's how a 7-game win streak was."
yeah, welcome. All right, number 20. I've got the White Sox. Man, it's been brutal for them. Really tough.
I agree. I have the White Sox, and I think they are feeling injuries. Eloy Jimenez and then Tim Anderson, who's now back, but they felt those effects early on.
I got the Cubs at 20. That's what I got.
Next, I have Minnesota.
All right. Solid.
Wait, you said Minnesota was 22.
That's true.
Oh, I have them twice. I can actually show
Yeah.
you guys. Minnesota's actually on there twice.
Nick, you always do this.
I always do that. Atlanta's next. I apologize.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Blake, we haven't had really much to agree with for you to be able to provide commentary for. I feel bad. So I want
Right.
to hear
It's good having a bunch of different opinions. It's interesting to see why we have teams at a certain one. I will say this: if I had a top 30, I'd have the Cubs essentially near the bottom, just because I don't know. I'd have to look at what the stat is now, but they're legit hitting like 150 as a team. I don't know what their I don't know what the record is. I know they're not at the absolute bottom, but the fact you're hitting 150 as a team, they're somehow miraculously pulling out wins. They're 6-8. I don't know how. I haven't been watching Cubs highlights. I don't know how they somehow have 6 wins, but they're like on pace to be like the worst hitting team of all time. So I'd have them if I had, like I said, if I had a top 30, I'd have them near the bottom just for that sole reason that they could not hit water if they fell out a boat. And Jock Peterson's hitting like below 100 now with them this season. It's a tragedy.
They scored. How many runs did they score?
Yesterday, I know they put up like a double digits, I think. So the offense was somehow found
13.
yesterday. But yeah, I think that's probably more than they scored like in the previous like 4 games or something combined.
That's probably true.
I will add that on the Cubs what a just fall off they've had over the last few years. Now Javi Baez, he just is not that good anymore. It looks like it's weird how it's like between Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, and Anthony Rizzo. Like if you would have asked like just 2 years ago, you'd have been like, oh, that like Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, that's like up in the air. Now it seems like Anthony Rizzo seems like the no-brainer to bring back to that team, because I would not be comfortable giving Javi Baez anything like north of $200 million, which I'm sure he's going to request. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Cubs.
I wouldn't give him anywhere close to that.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Chris Bryant, I wouldn't sign him anything longer than a 1-year deal, because he's just been,
At best, I'd give him 2 years.
Yeah.
He's fallen off bad.
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
He hit 2 home runs yesterday.
All right, I'll give him that. I'll reconsider my 1 year and throw in a 2
Yes, and that's basically saying Aaron Judge hit 2 home runs the other day. And look where he's still at.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true.
Whoever says Aaron Judge is a top 5 baseball player is just wrong. That's just wrong.
He can be top 10. He can be top 10.
He can be. I don't have him in the top 10 because he's always hurt.
Yeah.
Yes.
The potential's there.
Yeah.
The production and health isn't.
That's very true.
Fair.
Now, at 19, I've got my biggest fall of the week. I've got the Philadelphia Phillies. Unfortunately, the Phillies just they have not been having it in this last week. Mets swept them in 3 games. It's been tough for them. And Ryan's leaving. Now, Marco, I know you did say you have to go, so I want to hear your top 5 before you head out, because we can use that for comparison when we roll to the end.
Am I still up?
Well, yeah, so I'm having Marco do his top 5 because he's got to head out.
All right.
Top 5, I have at 5 the Angels. 4, I got Kansas City. 3, I got the Reds. 2, I got the Red Sox, and 1, I got the Dodgers.
Okay,
You gotta respect it. And I'll just say my segment real quick.
So much.
I'll just say my third base real quick, really quickly. I got it right here. NL MVP for the week, Ronald Acuna Jr. It's a no-brainer. AL MVP, Alex Verdugo. Rookie of the Year is for the NL, Josh Chilsholm. And then for AL Rookie of the Year, Alejandro Kirk. NL Cy Young for the week, Clayton Kershaw. And AL Cy Young is Tyler Glasnow. That's what I got.
That was beautiful. Beautiful wrap up there. Marco.
Hey, Blake, I'll talk to you soon, brother. I'll give you a call someday. Hopefully you're not busy, but I'll talk
Yeah,
to you soon.
I'll do a better job checking my text. I looked the other day and realized he texted me in March, and I just straight up never replied. I was like, my gosh.
I was like, Josh, can you help me out a little bit with Blake?
Yeah, I told him, I said I have notifications turned off for text, and I probably saw and just said I'll get back to him later, and then never did. And was like, yeah, oh, like what, March 8th? Sorry, I was busy. Like,
sorry, I was watching TV for the last month.
Sorry, I'm back now. Yeah, so yeah, my bad, but I'll talk to you soon.
No, talk to you later, man. Boys, see you guys later, right?
Absolutely. Thank you again, Marco.
Okay, I'll go to 19.
Yes, you are. And also, Blake, I know that you're gonna be heading out soon. Just make sure you let me know when you've got to head out.
Like I said, I'm probably like right before 11, so maybe like 10:55. I'll dip, so right around there. So I think we'll still probably be good.
Sure, that's fine. Yeah. I'm fine with that. I don't know if we'll even go that long, so that's great.
All good.
Trash 19.
Next I have Baltimore.
Okay, not bad. I've got Baltimore at 18, so I have to agree with you, Ryan. I don't know if you're back from grabbing your garbage can. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I'm back. I have the Phillies at 18.
Okay.
I have the Mariners next.
All right. What? Wait a minute.
Man,
Ryan,
they're kind of tied for first in the division.
It's okay.
They're kind of like playing really good baseball.
The Mariners.
And you're gonna expect that to continue with Kyle Lewis as their only player that I can name off the top of my head right now, and Kyle Seager.
Stop disrespecting my guy, Kyle Seager.
I just said Kyle Seager.
He is underrated, and he is playing, and he is hitting well.
Hey,
okay, and that just won't continue in that division.
It's okay. They're a top 10 team for me this week, at least.
Top 10 team.
I think Brian agrees with me.
I do agree with him.
Yeah, he agrees.
I do want to add this on the Mariners now because my roommate from ASU is probably like the biggest Mariners fan that actually exists. And like before the season, he like was reeling off like all the reasons why they actually can like win the division this year. And I was like, this team actually legit could be good. So I went and I put like $50 on their over under and a win total to be like 72, I think. Wow. I think they easily finish above 500. And like I'm looking back at it now, I was close, but I didn't do it. I really wish I would have put something on them to win the division, because I think if the Mariners stay healthy, I think there's a chance they can win the AL West. I know that may be a hot take, but they have young talent and they have some guys that just haven't been healthy over the years. And Kyle Seager, Mitch Haniger, they have some good pieces where, again, this is assuming they stay healthy. I think the Mariners potentially, now this is assuming that they don't need to win like 90, 95 games to win the division, because the A's have kind of fallen off. I think the Angels are eventually going to fall off, and the Rangers are irrelevant, and the Astros, they're kind of been struggling. I think it's going to take 87, 88 games to win this division. I think the Mariners can get to that number. So again, this is assuming they stay healthy, because they have a lot of talent coming up from that minor league system that is going to make this team, especially, next year, but I think this year they could be good.
Jared Kelenic doesn't even come up yet. Nick, yeah. I don't think I've ever seen you in that much shock on this show. And I have said a lot of things that have really
No. The most shock
you said Nolan Arenado was
when you said Rafael Devers is better than Nolan Arenado.
You said Nolan Arenado was the fifth best third baseman. Nothing else will ever shock me more.
Okay.
I almost had a heart attack. I almost had a heart attack, Michael.
In my defense for Blake, because obviously he doesn't know, when we did our top 10 players entering the year per position, I had Nolan Arenado at 5 because he struggled last year, and Rafael Devers at like 4 because I thought he was going to have a great year, which he is.
You had him at 3. You had him at 3.
I had him at 3 or 4, whichever one I had him. So,
hey, if it makes you feel any better, a few years ago when I was doing my baseball show with my buddies, we did our preseason position rankings. I forget what year this was. I have to go back and look. But I think I had Miguel Cabrera at number 2 going into the season at first baseman. And I think this was, I don't know what year it was. And I absolutely heard it then, and I heard it the entire season. And I heard it that off season when we did our next rankings. But Miguel Cabrera was nowhere even near like my top 20. So It's all good.
It's okay. Michael also put Buster Posey in his top 10 after he didn't even play last year.
I did.
Well, he's playing like a top 10 this year, though. I'll give him that.
Hey, yeah, and it was going into this year. And I forgot Trevor Story. These guys have Trevor Story as the best shortstop in baseball entering the year. I had him at 7. He's living up to 7. He's not playing well. So
Oh my god.
Okay, if you're playing for a team like the Rockies, do you have any wanting to be there? Like,
Right.
I have a message to the Rockies organization right now. Free Trevor Story and free Charlie Blackmon, please.
I do want to say this really quickly on the Rockies. If you're the front office, obviously Story, Blackmon, they're going to be gone. Why not just trade them to whatever team is willing to take them on and ask for their biggest power hitting prospect in return and just put out a lineup of just every mammoth like power hitting guy you can and just say, you know what, we're going to suck this year, but we're going to have so many guys that are just going to hit 450-foot shots and hit 30 home runs and suck while doing it. Like, it'll be much more fun for Rockies fans than to put them through what you're going through now.
I am all in favor of putting you in charge of a baseball team after this show. This is really eye-opening for me.
Yeah, the Rockies need to just get something for them because they're not coming back. They're
at least
they're
Trevor Story. Like, even if you're getting like
62, they're running for the hills.
Yeah, get something for Trevor Story while you can. Like, my God, just get someone's top 15 prospect in return, and like just something. Come on, Colorado.
I think they will. I think this year the big deadline deal is going to be Trevor Story going somewhere, wherever he ends up going.
Right, but the longer
the
longer they wait, the worse the return's going to be. Because you're going to have a team like the Dodgers when they fleeced Manny Machado and gave up literally nothing because they knew they were only going to have him for a couple months. So Rockies, you better hurry.
Also, any team can fleece the Rockies after that Arenado trade. Any team can fleece them.
Right.
This has turned into a great Rockies bash session.
They deserve it.
It's so easy to bash the Rockies.
It really is.
It's just too easy.
Like the fact that they had like prime Arenado, DJ LeMahieu, Trevor Story, Charlie Blackmon. I'm definitely forgetting a few others. They had like
they had like prime LaCroix too. I'm pretty sure they did.
They might have. So they.
It was either them or the Brewers, I think.
Brewers. The Brewers.
Yeah. Brewers have LaCroix, yeah.
Yeah, so the Rockies deserve everything that's coming to them.
Yeah, I agree. They had Tulowitzki in there too. We also
Cargo. Like, what are they doing?
Cargo. Woo! That's wow. Todd Helton was there in a brief period when they were there. All right, we'll get back. We'll stop. We'll rant about the Rockies another time because this will take up a year and a half if we were to do that. So at 17, I have the Indians. They were at 19 last week.
17, I have Baltimore.
Next, I have Houston.
Okay. I've got the Marlins at 16.
Okay. 16, I have the Blue Jays.
I also have the Marlins.
See, Ryan doesn't get mad when Nick says it, but okay, well, he's kind of having a stroke. Are you okay, Ryan? Do you need water?
I guess.
Hey, I'll say this: Marlins are low key nice. Marlins got low key.
I like Jazz. I like the Jazz.
I'm about to make Michael so mad soon, and it's going to be electric.
Why?
Oh, the Mets are coming up. This is awesome.
Yeah, that's fine. If they're in the top 15, I'm a happy camper. Number 15, I've got the Rays.
I agree. 15 is the Rays.
I have the Blue Jays next.
Okay. I respect that.
Yeah, so do I. I think that's fair. 14, Astros. They were at 7 last week. They're just not playing that well anymore.
How are they that high?
They're still.
I'll say this: they're getting killed by injuries. They don't have Altuve or Bregman. So
Tigers swept them. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's how you know they don't deserve to be in the top half.
You might have a point there.
We were hitting them pretty well. Okay. All right. No, we get hit against the Athletics.
At 14, I have the Cardinals.
Okay.
Next, I have the Giants.
All right. I think that's fair. Blake, what do you think of the Astros? I mean, a little.
I like. Granted, it's still a long season. I know a lot of people were picking them to win the division. I just don't think they're going to be that good. I think they'll still probably be like around 500 or so, maybe a few games above. But they lost so many players. Their starting pitching staff is nowhere near what it used to be. Now, granted, Greinke can find the fountain of youth and go back to his like Cy Young self. Maybe things will be a little different. But I just think they're a good team. But I just think 500, like I said, maybe a few games above. I think that's where they'll be kind of hovering around all season. That's again why I'm kind of high on the Mariners. And I think I haven't even mentioned. I think the Angels can win the division as well. So yeah, I'm not shocked by the Astros start. Like I said, I think this is granted. Like again, they're missing. I think Altuve, Bregman. I think Jordan's on the COVID IL, so they have no one.
Yuli Gurriel's hurt too.
Yeah, so a lot of injuries, but this is definitely the weakest Astros team since like I don't know what 2015, 2016, whenever this run started.
You heard it here first, by the way, of Blake saying that the Mariners could win the division this year. That's
or the Angels. Those are my two picks.
Mariners, I have the Angels winning the division.
I think the Mariners is something that you can use as like I said it back in April though.
Oh
like
yeah, when they win the division, I'm going to ask for this episode and clip this.
Oh yeah,
I literally told everyone. I warned you.
Oh, we will. This is. It's all on YouTube. You'll be able to look back and share it. This is going to be. You can use this as you could potentially become like the next predictions king if you do that. So I think this is important for you to stand your ground on that. Number 13, I've got the Cardinals.
Number 13, I have Cleveland. They've been solid their past 10 games, and I just don't look at the past week. I look at beyond, and they haven't looked too bad.
I also have Cleveland.
See, he gets it.
I didn't deny that he didn't. Even though you have called him out like 5 times today for other picks.
Just some picks. He's kind of sounding like you a little bit.
He's the king of call out, man.
Yeah, you're right. You're really right. All right, number 12, Blue Jays.
Number 12, I have the Mets.
Okay, I'm happy.
Well, he's about to get frustrated with this next one.
12, I have the Angels.
Okay, that's fair. And number 11, I've got the Giants. Man, they were so high earlier in the week, and they just they fell down a little bit these last few days. It's been tough because I really wanted to have them up there, but they've lost 2 in a row. So.
11, I have the Marlins. Got him.
Hold on.
The Marlins have been playing better than the Mets. You cannot deny that.
I can't. I can't
deny it.
I can't deny it.
These power rankings just are so subjective.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't care about the record when I'm looking at the Mets. I still can't get over the fact that since 2018, the Mets have a losing record when Jacob deGrom is on the mound. And his ERA is sub 2.1.
Yeah.
I'm aware. He has a 0.65. No, what is it? 0.45 ERA this year in 3 starts. So, jeez.
Yeah, and you almost lost to the Rockies yesterday when he was on the mound. How?
Yeah, well, they didn't. They came back.
DeGrom pitched. Thank God.
You're lucky it was a 7-inning game because they definitely.
Yeah, it was 6. DeGrom had to go 6.
Hey, he had 14 strikeouts in 6 innings. He could have broken the record if he got those final 3. I know, but yeah, that was
a dub. That was a dub.
They did, yes. They won. All right, Nick, we still need your 11.
Yeah, the Phillies.
Okay, that's fine.
You have a worse reaction to me saying the Marlins than them saying the Phillies.
In the same record.
Well, he hasn't said the Mets yet. He hasn't said the Mets yet.
Said the Mets yet.
So he has the Mets higher than them. At number 10, I've got the Mariners. Sorry, Nick.
Please.
Like, welcome to this is our good old this is our rapport when we're all together. We start getting like this.
Love it.
Ryan, we need your 10.
Sorry, I was on mute. I am actually gonna stick with the Giants in this one.
Okay. I
have the Rays.
So the Rays, Blake, I want to hear about them too. They're a hot topic this year. They've been all over the place.
I don't know what to make of them. Like I don't know. Like I don't know how they had a great run last year. I know they had a great team. I didn't think they were the best team in the American League last year. They were playing just the best baseball, which it's the most important. But again, this year I was like I didn't think they'd be competing for the division. Granted, again, it's a long season. I thought the Yankees were going to be a lot better. I thought the Blue Jays were going to be, a sneaky team to win that division. I thought the Rays would be hunting around there. So, could they still finish, win the division? Could they have the best record in the American League? They definitely could. Could they finish like in 500 or so? I think they could. I don't know what to make of them. They could literally win anywhere between 75 and 90 games. and I wouldn't be shocked if they did if they finished at any of those spots.
I completely agree.
So far, it's Glasnow really good. Everyone else,
They just find a way to win games every year, like no matter who's on that team. The utility player team, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, that's what they are. They're the utilitaries, I guess you can call them.
Right.
So what I want to do for these last 9, because I want Blake to be able to be here for our segment. So we'll go through these last 9, and then Blake, after that, you'll just throw out anything you thought from our top 9 at that point, because I think it'll be I want you to be able to experience our and give us more feedback on our actual segments.
Sounds
so
good.
At number 9, I've got the Mets.
Ooh, okay. Number 9, I have the Brewers.
I also have the Brewers.
Oh, Nick has the Mets higher than me. I love this. Alrighty, Ryan, you're welcome. 8, the Royals.
8, Athletics.
8. Royals.
It's above the Royals. I love this. Number 7, Angels. Ryan's really starting to question.
The
Nick.
Royals have been playing better baseball. Oh, God. And that's just not even me being a Royals fan. That's just if you watch. The Royals are playing so much better than the Mets.
I just know in September we're just not gonna be hearing the same
We're not
sentence.
talking about September.
I'm just not basing it off of right now. I just can't base it off of just right now.
Wow. My brain hurts. Number 7, I have the Mariners.
Oh my God.
Don't even talk to me when you have the Mets. Don't even. No. I'm basing this how they're playing right now, and the Mariners are playing very good baseball.
Yeah.
I'm gonna remember that you said the Mariners were a top 7 team at one point. I'm really gonna remember that.
Well, they are tied for first in their division, so
right now.
Hey, at the time when I say it, they were in first place.
You're right.
Okay. What number are we on? 7?
7.
Now the Mets.
All righty. Number 6, because of their showing against the Padres and the other 5 teams above them have been phenomenal. I'm sorry, not against the Padres, against the Dodgers. I almost just said it backwards. I've got the Padres at 6.
I have the Reds at 6.
Okay.
Cardinals.
Fair. Number 5, I got the Brewers. They're just, wow. They're playing out of their minds right now.
I have the Royals at 5. Really?
It's okay. No, I'm not giving you any flack. I'm not. I'm just not. No, I'm just not.
Hey, the Royals are low key nice. I will say that. I watched some of their games against the Angels. They're low key nice. Just get some starting pitchers at the deadline, and then maybe you guys can make a wild card push.
That's what I said before the year. I have them going to the wild card.
The offense is looking great.
Yeah, but
they need to add a pitcher.
A couple. Oh, sorry. I don't think Salvi Perez is going to be playing like this all. He's been playing nice, but he'll come back down to earth, I think.
He's my MVP pick.
I was on the golf course, on the green, and I have the game on, and I'm watching it on my phone. Right as he comes off the bat, I'm just running around going crazy.
Ryan's going to be the one to invent journalists getting really excited at games. He's going to be the one in the press box that's standing up and yelling.
Here's the thing. What people need, Bob, I'm still trying to reach out to Bob Menery, an uncensored sports network.
Bro, I've been saying that for years. How great would that be? Or if you had like a play-by-play broadcast, like they're just straight up cussing it for home runs.
Oh, God.
It'd be so entertaining.
Right.
That would. It would be an 18 and up network.
It'd be like Barstool play-by-play.
Yes. I would pay for that, honestly. I would pay for that. That would be great. All right, Nick, let's hear your number 5.
And number 5. Okay, White Sox.
Okay, that's fair. Number 4, I have the Athletics with the biggest jump of the week. Ryan, keep it. Come on, keep it together. Let's go.
It just hurts a little bit.
I know. Yes, number 4. I have the Athletics with their biggest jump of the week of 21 spots.
I respect it. I have Angels at 4.
Okay.
Reds at 4.
I have the Reds at 3. They got right back to where they were last week.
You know what? I might get some flack for this, but this team has – they had 2 bad losses against the Pirates, but they're playing the Dodgers so well. So I am going to keep the Padres in the top 3, and I'm going to have them at 3. So they did drop a spot.
Good.
I have the Red Sox at 3.
I've got the Red Sox too. I can't put anyone else there. The Red Sox, they're just phenomenal right now. I'm blown away.
I'm going with the Red Sox at 2. They've won 10 out of their past 11 since being swept by the Orioles to start the season. They're playing great baseball.
I can't. We've seen 2 possible NLCS Game 7 type games already. The Padres have played the Dodgers just absolutely so.
The main reason I dropped the Padres 1 spot is because they lost 2 games to the Pirates.
I understand that, but after seeing how they've played against the Dodgers, this team is just ready. This team is ready to win 95 plus games.
Also, watching the Padres, they have a runners in scoring position problem.
I agree.
Too many runners on against the Pirates. One game, they left the bases loaded 4 times.
Welcome to my world. As a Mets fan. Welcome to my life. All right, and then obviously number 1, no question about it, the Dodgers.
Tigers.
And
The Dodgers are the best team in baseball, and as I said, Nick and I both said this with our predictions this year. I have never been this confident in a team that will win the World Series.
This team is better than the 98 team, the 98 Yankees.
The fact that they're still winning games like this against top teams like the Padres without their second best player in Cody Bellinger is insane.
I completely agree.
They were leading the league in batting average without Mookie and Cody Bellinger at one point.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I would love to see a DS between the Padres and the Dodgers for one reason. Those trios going at it would be electric.
Yeah.
I agree.
It would be so fun.
It would. That would be the best.
It was just so good. I've just never seen a rotation like this, man.
Wish they could be in the World Series together.
Back it up, a.k.a. Mookie Betts. This Dodgers team, the fact that you can throw Price is still shocking to me.
I agree. Blake, let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I will add this on the Dodgers. Just one, the fact that their preseason odds to win the World Series, because I was in Vegas, I think like the day before the MLB season started. The sportsbook I was at had the Dodgers at even odds to win the World Series, which I've like.
That shouldn't be allowed.
Last year, I bet a good amount on them because they're, I think, like plus 450. So I was like, that's pretty good odds. And I was thinking, okay, this year they might be like 3-1 or something. I'm like, even odds. Then I went to another sports book and they were like plus 150. And I'm like, this is absurd. Like, this isn't worth, like, I think they win as well. But I'm like, this isn't worth putting a large amount where I'm not going to get my payout till October. And the fact that they're, I think, over under on wins, which I got was like 103.5, and that was like the most all time. Like I do this running gag on my Twitter, like every time the Dodgers win, I like do what their pace is, and they're currently on pace for 140 wins, which they're obviously who knows not going to get. I think this team takes down that 116 Mariners record. I guess technically the Mariners Cubs record, saying the Cubs did it like 100 years ago, but I think this Dodgers team gets 116 wins. Like the fact that they're I think 13-2. And their 2 losses were literally a Kenley blown save in Oakland that they should have won because Will Smith didn't get a tag down. And then that crazy opening day game in Colorado where Cody hit a home run. It wasn't a home run. And the Dodgers lost by like 2 or 3 runs. So, like, again, a lot could happen. This Dodgers team literally could be 15-0 right now.
Yeah.
And it's absurd. Like, they're like Nick was saying, that they have David Price coming into the bullpen, who now is looking like vintage David Price.
Yeah.
Like they haven't had Cody Bellinger at all. Mookie Betts missed a week. Justin Turner's missed like 3 to 4 games. Will Smith is platooning with Austin frickin' Barnes.
Who's your rookie? McCasley?
Zach McKinstry's playing like
McKinstry. Yes, bro.
Like Gavin Lux was literally like the number 2 prospect in baseball for 2 years, and he like hasn't even begun being good yet. Like, the Dodgers also have yet to have Brusdar Graterol, Tony Gonsolin, like 2 guys that finished in the top 10 of or Rookie of the Year voting last year. And they still have like a top 6 farm system in baseball with more players coming.
Have you even said Corey Seager's name yet?
And I've not said Corey Seager, who's like the best shortstop in all of baseball. Also, Max Muncy is currently leading the league in on base percentage. Like
Justin Turner.
Justin Turner. Like it's like
too many names.
They took the
Too
first
many.
2 from the Padres this weekend. Oh, and the reigning Cy Young and Trevor Bauer's taking the mound. Like, it's absurd with how they're like.
It's insane.
Oh no!
Like I do want to.
I have a quick story. So last year when the Dodgers went down 3-1 against the Braves in the ALCS, I put money on them to win the series and win the World Series. I won $300.
Yeah,
I got insane odds.
smart move.
Right.
I mean, because if you like people that watch that series, like the Dodgers were down 3-1, but they were like playing fairly even with the Braves, and I'm like, they can win They can go on a 3-game winning streak, and then that happened.
That happened. Yeah.
It did. So let's roll through our segments here so that we can finish up the show, the longest show we've ever had, and it's been amazing. So again, happy to have you here, Blake. This has been phenomenal. At first base is Ryan with his team of the week. We're just going to say our stuff. Like, no, we can't even. I'll let Blake provide the commentary for him.
Okay, so my catcher of the week, Salvador Perez. First baseman of the week, I'm going Joey Votto. Second base, Josh Harrison. Third base, Justin Turner. Shortstop, Xander Bogaerts. Left field, Verdugo. Center field, Acuna. Right field, Adam Duvall. DH, I have 2 guys because I don't know if you want a DH or a person that was just hitting the crap out of the ball that I just couldn't put in. So who I really put at DH was Wilson Contreras because he's had 4 home runs this week. If you want a regular DH, I have JD Martinez. And then my pitcher of the week is Carlos Rodon for obvious reasons.
Fair.
And Michael, let me explain to you Josh Harrison because I saw your face. Hit 556 this week.
Wow, good for him. I just didn't know.
Right
that.
now, he is hitting the best on the Nationals.
Good. Blake, what do you have to?
I was gonna say Josh Harrison. I didn't know when he was playing right now. I thought he was like on the IL or something like that. So good to hear he's hitting above 500. So and I thought all those were pretty good. And also with what Adam Duvall, I think he's with the Marlins now, right?
Yeah. With
Yes.
I was like, did not know he was raking. So interesting to know that. Well, I mean, this is a guy that literally can hit 30 home runs with ease. That you just can't hit the ball other than that. So
Yeah,
did he have a lot of home runs? Is that why?
He hit 3 home runs this week and
Okay.
drove in 8 or 9.
Oh, but yeah, that explains it.
Yeah,
That
he can
explains it.
rake.
Yeah. It's just it's hitting dingers or he's hitting below 200 and striking out 40% of the time.
Which is exactly why the Braves just let him go.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, he's been playing well. I picked him up in fantasy. I don't remember who I dropped Mike Yastrzemski for Adam Duvall. It was a very good trade for me this week, beating Nick by a little bit. So Nick, we'll throw it over to you. It is barely. We've got a fun final day ahead of us. Nick, you go ahead with second base.
Yeah, second base is like players that we aren't really as known, but they're actually playing really well. So my first one, I have Ryan McMahon, or how you say on the Rockies. He's
I
actually
think that Ryan
yeah.
McMahon. Yeah.
having a very nice little season right now, hitting 286, 6 home runs, 10 RBIs. And then my next guy right here is Eduardo Escobar for the D-backs. The batting average isn't really there, but the 6 home runs and 10 RBIs is something to keep an eye out for. And then, give me 1 second, let me pull this up here. Actually, Brandon Nimmo is actually leading the league in batting now at a 471 clip. Doesn't have a home run yet, but does have 4 RBIs. And I'm a huge batting average guy, and I just think Brandon Nimmo has been having a very stellar season so far.
571 on base percentage, leading baseball.
571. Wow. And then Cedric Mullins also for the Orioles. I think he's having also a really nice season. He's hitting 379, 1 home run, 4 RBIs. Again, huge batting average guy. And then someone that's risen from the dead absolutely this season has been JD Martinez. He's hitting 365 home runs, 17 RBIs, which is good for the league lead. I think he's tied with Acuna for the league lead right now. And then my last guy here, it's one of my favorite players in the league, Jared Walsh on the Angels. In 341 this season with 4 home runs and 13 RBIs.
Elite.
I love the Ryan McMahon one. That was just funny because he's going to probably hit 30 dingers with the Rockies this year, and they're going to shaft him somehow and mess him up. But Jared Walsh, he's a guy where I was doing like every fan. Like I said, I think I'm in 3 fantasy leagues. I made sure to swap him in every one because this dude, his September last year. Granted, it's easy when I have to pay close attention to every Angels game. I think he was I don't think he was rookie of the month in September. I think he was the AL player of the month in September last year. If not, he was definitely.
I think you're right. I think you're definitely right.
His September was insane. And I think he came up like middle of August and he was pretty good. And he was like raking in spring training. I'm like, this dude is going to absolutely be like a problem on the Angels this year. So I like that you had him on here because he's a stud. He's going to be good for the Angels this year.
I remember the game. It was the Shohei Ohtani game where he started and hit. Walsh was quietly the hero of that game. He finished the game with like 2 home runs and he had to walk off. And that was the first game where I was like, damn, like this guy is actually like pretty underratedly nice. And ever since then, I've been like, okay, kind of just following him.
Absolutely. Now I'll do my top 5 moments of the week because that's what I do every week, and then I'll let you roll out of here because I know you've got other real obvious jobs to do, which is more important than
I'm technically on the clock right now. So
wow. Well, we're honored.
Yeah, right.
So top 5 moments of the week. Number 5, Adolis Garcia on April 15th hit his first major league home run. It's a go-ahead 2-run shot over the Rays in the 10th inning in Tampa Bay. Amazing home run for him. Number 4, Mookie Betts' catch last night. Incredible catch. I want to have it higher, but the 3 ahead of them are just amazing. Number 3, Yadier Molina catching his 2000th game. That was just an amazing moment in baseball. Have to have it on here. Number 2, JD Martinez, his 3-homer game. It was awesome. 2 home runs to opposite field. Really special. And obviously number 1, Carlos Rodon's no-hitter. Could have been perfect game by the skin of a toenail, but unfortunately lost it. But
you know how bad I feel about that.
Why was he throwing that pitch with 2 strikes?
I don't know.
Like, why are you trying to throw inside? Yeah, like it sucks, but like you deserve it for going. Like, no one was touching his fastball that inning. He was hitting like 98, 99. Like, just go up there and throw the fastball. Don't try to be cute with the inside stuff. Now, granted, I forget who was hitting. He did not try to get out of the way whatsoever, which is
Roberto Perez.
It was Roberto Perez, who's not a good hitter.
Like,
yeah, but the fastball.
He should have gotten out of the way, but like with 2 strikes, with 2 outs to go, like no, just give him 99 up and make him do that.
Yeah,
best part was right before the bottom of the 9th, I was on my way to an intramural softball playoff game. I'm walking with my roommate, and I told him he's going to end up hitting someone, and it's going to end the perfect game.
You ruined it.
And when he did, I was like, I did not just do that. I felt so bad. And I hate Chicago. I hate the White Sox so much, and I still was rooting for Rodon to get it.
Of course. You cannot. Well, that ends the marathon of an amazing show today. Blake, so much thank you for staying here. This was a great dedication of your time, and we learned so much. We had so much fun. I would love to have you back. I know we would love to have you back anytime, because this was a great show. I'd love to have you on regularly, but obviously you have another job to do. But this was a great thing, and personally for me, learned a lot, and very grateful for the time that you had today. Plug yourself before you head out with anything, anywhere people can read you, find you, see you.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a lot of fun. This makes me miss my weekly baseball show that we did on Blaze all the time, because that was the absolute best, because we essentially did what you guys did, where we would just have the hottest takes and just argue with each other instead of actually talking baseball for an hour on a week-to-week basis.
Glad to know we're not the first.
Right. So I guess, my main Twitter's at Blake Harris, TBLA. I was going to say for you guys, well, Mike, I already got your info, but you guys shoot me a DM there so I can follow all you guys. And then if you just ever want to keep in touch, talk baseball, ask questions, you guys can do that. And again, whoever's watching this out there on YouTube or Blaze Radio, wherever this ends up nowadays, do the same. Hit me up, reach out. Talk baseball, talk sports. Hit me up for any questions. I'll do what I can. SB Nation, we're always not always hiring, but like every month there's some random new positions. So I can throw those your guys' way and see if there's any interest. So like I said, whatever I can do to help, because I was going to say just even a year and a half ago I was a college student, so it's not like I've been out of the game for too long. So I remember I miss those days. Like I said, definitely would love to be back on the show in the coming weeks or coming months, whenever that is. And like I said, reach out to me, guys, and we can keep talking, stay in touch, and hopefully Bauer strikes out Machado today and there's a brawl and the Dodgers get the clean sweep, because I have the content ready to go on my Twitter, because Padres fans, they don't follow me, but they somehow find me and they go after me in my DMs and mentions, and I absolutely love taking them down and having my following ratio of them, because Padres fans are the absolute worst. They didn't exist until prior to last year. I will say this: if you watch their games, they have no one like. Do you want to know how Padres have bandwagon fans? They changed to brown and gold last season, and no one in the stands is wearing what the Padres used to wear prior to 2020. Like there's the occasional Trevor Hoffman jersey, which respect, you have a Trevor Hoffman jersey, but there is like no other regular Padres stuff. Like, it's been a year and a half, and there is no one in the stands. That's my thing, just because I think Padres have the most bandwagon and worst fans, and this is someone that has to deal with Giants fans on a weekly basis. So I guess there's my closing remark on the show. Aside from reaching out to me reach out for journalism advice, but also Padres fans are the worst.
I lived with one last year.
Can you confirm?
Oh, the worst. Like the other day, he was posting so much of the first game.
So much.
I've never wanted the Padres to lose more.
Have you guys heard
so
what Petco Park sounds like these last two games? How they're giving out like thunder sticks, and how they're like like, I will give them credit. It does sound like a playoff game there, but like, this is a regular season game in April, and like there was like a routine.
Bellinger's not playing.
There was like a routine flyout to end the first inning on Friday night, and they cut to these Padres fans like in the outfield. They were like jumping up as if they just like threw a no-hitter. I'm like, wait, did I miss the part where they just had a routine flyout to end the first inning? And they were like going ham. I'm like, no. Like,
Padres fans are the worst.
They threw a parade after they won the wild card series. Like, they threw an actual parade in downtown San Diego. Like, I just had to get that off my chest.
Well, I hope that your therapeutic rant there was good.
I feel better.
Well, I'm glad. This is an open forum for therapeutic rants anytime you need it. Well, at a 2-hour mark, this was phenomenal. Again, thank you so much for being on. Yes, Ryan.
I'm going to need an extra segment every week. Just let me rant for 2 minutes. All I ask.
That was what your segment was going to be initially.
You need to let me do it, because one of these days I'm going to go on the longest rant after the Royals get screwed by California rule. So let me just rant for just 2 minutes every week. I'll have something.
That's fine with me. We can have the rant session with Blake and Ryan. That would be great. Blake and Blank. Oh, that's great. Future segment for one day. We'll have that happen.
Yes.
That'd be great. So thank you everybody again for tuning in. We will see you all next week for another great episode of Running the Bases. Thank you again to Blake. Thank you guys for listening. We'll